Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Moolah Mondays. This is our second play day. I am very excited to be here, and I am joined by the wonderful Jax. How are you, Jax?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to commentate. This is my first ever time casting. Got some friends playing, so I'm super excited to watch and be a part of it. Thanks for having me.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, really appreciate you coming aboard. We've had a lot of change ups here and a couple of schedules just getting filled here. So it's really appreciated you could come on board and help bring this event to light here, make it magical for everybody here. So I'm very excited for us to be on board here. Optus, I think we want to jump right into our first game here, get that thing prepped. But in the meantime, I figure I'll let you guys know a little bit about our format here. We don't need to take a look at it just yet, but just a quick refresher for those of you who were here last week. And for those of you who weren't here last week, we will be doing a little bit of a heat system. We've got 3 full heats here for you today. And those heats are going to look like a high bracket and a low bracket. And those brackets will play themselves into 3v3s. And so the first heat was determined pretty much randomly here. And then after that, going forward, the points that these players earn will determine where they land in this bracket. So for our first heat on our high bracket here, we've got our wonderful teams of the Steppers, Pata, Glitch, and WMD, and they will be fighting it out to play a 3v3 for first and second or third and fourth. And that will get them plenty of points to continue themselves on forward here. And so looks like this lobby is getting prepped up here. Jax, do you know any of these guys on this team? I know you said you got a couple of friends here. Any of your friends here playing in this high bracket?
Yeah, they are actually familiar with Koi. Played with Just Angel, and then some of my main teammates, Jimbo and Viz, are actually playing as well. So rooting for them today.
That is fantastic. That's awesome. Well, I'm excited. There are some big teams here that really showed up last week, and there's some teams here that are looking to really fight themselves for it here. And so I am very excited to get into this game, and it looks like our game is finally ready, and it looks like we're just about to load on in here. So let's jump on into the first match here.
Let's move to ball 2.
All right. We're getting started here. First match, Fresh Bernal. Excited to see how these teams fight themselves out here. Already immediately a lot of huge contact coming through between these two teams. We've got Pata and Steppers, I believe, are taking good fights. Down is Winshew, and down is El Allen as well. Graziv, the last member on his team here, trying to do his best to stay alive. Unfortunately, he does go down. Kip having a bit of a hard time. Not sure what kind of shenanigans is happening there, but it's a little unfortunate to see Graziv here with 2 subs. It's going to definitely hurt his team comp and his team gameplay, but I will be very interested to see what happens going forward. It looks like there's a bit of lag, maybe some issues with Kip here, like we were saying here. So any first impressions here off this first fight here, Jax, while we wait for this game to continue on?
Yeah, I mean it's a quick fight, and honestly, that's going to give great pacing going into this. I've noticed from all of the Moolah Mondays that I've watched so far, it's really important to keep that pacing up, just like in any ranked game, honestly, and it will allow them to kind of act like mosquitoes, potentially go hop onto some other boxes, and you really want to be in control of the game because all of these players are very strong Ruby players, and if you're not in control, sometimes losing the first fight is going to set you up for a bad performance for the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good point. And looks like they're going to be able to bring a lot of tempo here, Steppers, because the other side of the map is still fighting here. They're stuck fighting. This is Glitch and WMD. There's only Jimbo left on their team, trying to do his best. Does get taken down, unfortunately. He does try to get a winch onto Hacho, but unfortunately bringing that sword into close quarters hurts a lot. So there's quite a bit of tempo here to be had here from Steppers, but they'll be pressed to min-max their positioning and their fights here if they want to capitalize on that and make their way on over towards B. So I don't realistically see it happening. So I'll be very interested to see how they want to play and where this next fight is.
Yeah, it looks like Team Glitch here is taking the height, and they're getting pressed from low ground. It's very important how you take fights, especially at this location. Sometimes just padding up, if you don't play your gadgets and your team composition properly, you're going to take too much damage opening up. So it's very important that they take this fight properly, and it looks like they're actually going up top now, and they've dropped under. Hacho doing the APS strategy here. I know that's pretty popular with that team.
Yeah, oh my gosh, we've got a third party happening here. So there's a lot of teams here fighting for this point. It looks like nobody wants to fight Steppers. They were the #1 team here last week, and so I don't know if that's playing into the mentality of these guys. Or maybe it's just the fact that we have Pata here running on 2 subs. It's really kind of hurting their composition in these team fights. But down goes Viz to Aokoi across. Actually, I wasn't going to say across the map, but I do believe he is up and close and personal here. So we've got basically 4 teams here fighting for this point because nobody's bothering A. And nobody's been able to take this flip yet. Aokoi's able to get Graziv as well, which definitely has got to hurt. And these players are still fighting out, but we've got Glitch just posted up on the bottom floor. They are able to pressure and get down Viz. First steal attempt is coming forth here from Jimbo. Unfortunately, not able to connect that further, and does leave his teammate to die. Isle of Rice does go down, unfortunately. Jimbo, once again, the last member on his team, not looking very promising. Pata's going to have to pull a miracle here if they want to get anything further with Glitch, but Tank Hero is getting pressured here. Jimbo takes himself down with his own C4, unfortunately, and that timer is ticking lower and lower. Winshew is jumping here on the point. Hacho is on low HP, and so is Tank Hero. If he's able to get damage before he gets away, he's going for that steal. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it. Unfortunately not. The heals were not enough. I think Graziv would have done better to be able to shoot Tank Hero there, and that would have stopped the damage output there, but that M60 just absolutely wreaks havoc, and I'm very pleased to see it being used more and more these days. Tank Hero's definitely been pioneering that wave.
Yeah, like we talked about, I mean, Steppers won their fight almost instantly, got great pacing, and then with the third party happening, like we saw, Koi was able to grab a few picks on the lights with that repeater from medium distance, and they were able to get in there, get another plug, so they're really controlling the pace of this game, and it's all coming down to winning that first fight right off the bat.
Absolutely, absolutely. Totally agree with you on that one. It really does help with the pacing, and when you get a little bit of a third party there, it really kind of makes it difficult, makes life difficult. Speaking of making life difficult here, Hacho is down. Looks like they finally do get that res off as they've been fighting not exactly next to the point, not actually progressing anything further. So it was a little bit of a stagnation of a fight. And that is going to really hurt the momentum here because Steppers have already got that plug through. These teams are just fighting here, and Glitch has finally had enough of it and is probably headed on over towards them. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to look at these teams take this fight. Viz does get taken down. That is the wipe onto WMD. Let's see how Glitch decides to take this point against Steppers to finally give them some pressure that they probably deserve.
Yeah, looks like Just Angels opening up with some heavy damage there. So they're already going to be retreating, resetting under. I wonder if they're going to try to drop. No, looks like they're coming up and around. Hacho's probably going to get blooded here. He is. Yeah, and it actually looks like Pada's on their way to third party as well. Everybody's fighting around here. This may even get doubled. It looks like Vault 4 has been brought close. I wonder if any team is actually going to plug it. Steppers may look to plug this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good point, especially with the new double Jeopardy change. None of these teams are exactly magnetized towards this point. We've got a steal attempt coming out from Glitch. Are they going to be able to get it through? They've got so many defenses and the swords coming through as well. Nah, they were able to actually get it just barely. Tank Hero is now on 1 bar, defending with his life. He does go down, but there's not enough time for these guys. That wipe is perfectly timed, but 4 still hasn't been plugged. And that double Jeopardy is just, everybody's scared. Even the people who don't even have that much money, they don't want to give it to the people who do have the money. As these fights slowly wind down, Jax, this is quite an interesting dynamic of a game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely surprised at all that that's what ended up happening. We saw that yet again, you know, this is coming back to that pacing conversation we had. 4 never even got plugged, so that's a 12K vault. And if it were me, I perhaps would have actually just split it and maybe come in at the very end to try to steal there. But Hacho and Tank Hero, I mean, they're known for doing those APS steals, and it's actually lucky that Kip didn't get a chance to plug it, because I think he was looking to plug that, got forced during it, and they would have lost half of their money and given Glitch another $12,000 there. So that was insane to watch, and yeah, definitely a wild having these 12-person fights.
Absolutely. As we've been speaking here, it looks like Pada have decided that they wanted to get that plug here on A. If I can read that correctly. Actually, pardon me, that is WMD. Pada's still stuck trying to take this fight with remaining members of what it looks like WMD, while Viz has gotten that plug. It is only 12K, unfortunately, but it does secure them a possible second place. So they got to be at least a little bit happy with that, because that may not get them as many points as first place, but that puts them in the contention for that 3v3. Hacho's grabbing Vault 5, trying to get it moving somewhere as Just Angel keeps the pressure on him. He does get taken down. That Vault 5 is a minute on the board before it can even be plugged. Just Angel trying to play life as well. Looks like he's interested in getting that plug. He's going to throw that box all the way across the map before getting taken down himself. So we'll be very interested. This could determine the future of who gets top 2 here. There is a little bit of a steal attempt happening on the other side of the map, but if Aokoi is able to get this plug, this is going to make their life easier, especially with Steppers, who are taking an early lead, aren't able to hold on to that lead. Hacho just so much good movement with the sword. They are in control of this lobby right now. Glitch are deciding that they don't want this thing plugged. They have 40 seconds to continue to stall for this, and they're playing it really well here. Kip does go down. That's a wipe. There's a second wipe here onto Pada. Everybody who has been fighting here is no longer fighting, and so now with the control that they have here with Glitch, Jax, do you think they're going to even bother plugging this?
Uh, I don't think that they should, honestly. So I think that they're going to hold here, and it looks like no team is going to have another chance. So WMD, coming in on a lot of subs and not too much chemistry there. It looks like they're actually going to come into second place here. Maybe one time chance here for an emergency force, but it looks like Rice is putting the pad under, and they should be able to stall this pretty easily.
Yeah, just 10 seconds here left on the clock. A seal attempt is going to come through. They might be able to get it if they're able to stick it, but the damage is just way too high to even bother. And Hacho went ahead and gave a little bit support as well. They were not interested. I definitely think that was motivated by a need to try and push Steppers down as far as they can, try to minimize the point gain from Steppers because they have been on top of the leaderboard last week. And so you really want to get as many points away from Steppers' hands as they could possibly get, because if you let them get too many points or give them the opportunity to get that many points, then they could run away again, and they could manage to yoink out another first place here this week. And so it'll be very interesting now that they've been relegated to the bottom bracket 3v3, where they're going to go from here.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Steppers really looked like they were dominating. I mean, after winning that first fight and getting the great pacing, doing the third partying, they were really in the lead. And the irony of the other three teams fighting on the other vault ended up kind of biting them in the butt there because their pacing was so good, everybody kind of forgot about four, went to their box, and the chaos of that fight allowed Hacho to get away with that smoke APS steal. So definitely not the result I was expecting based on the first half of that game.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely is not something that you would have really expected there. They really did look like they were holding on to that pacing well, and they were doing their best, but it just kind of seemed to have slipped away from them. Just the cohesion that we saw from Uvinity, Hotcho, and Tank Hero on Glitch has been fantastic. And these players don't exactly run the most meta of util here. Hotcho on that sword is an absolutely surprising pick. Tank Hero has been rocking that M60 since the dawn of time, but it's finally kind of come back into the meta. It is pretty much rivaling guns like the Lewis gun these days, and in the right situations, it's probably the best pick. Unless you're going against something like an SA-1216 in close range there, but you play your situations right, you're going to be able to benefit hugely from it. And I definitely think that there is something to note about how some of these teams are running a lot of subs, and that definitely hurts your team chemistry and how you want to play. And so that could have done some form of a butterfly effect and really changed how the entire game's pacing was. And so you really got a lot of different variables kind of clashing up against each other. That's kind of the controlled chaos of cash out, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And, not surprised that we're seeing a little bit more M60 and, you're seeing a lot of double heavy these days too. A lot of teams are playing around with that comp. And I think M60 is a gun that is really good at combating, this new mesh coming back into the meta. As mesh has been buffed to block winches, we're seeing that get picked a lot more. And just the sheer firepower and the amount of rounds that you've got in a gun like the M60 is super helpful for melting through that shield. And then just continuing to apply pressure as well. The suppressive fire from a gun like that, and it's received a buff in this last patch here. So I'm sure Tank Hero is definitely happy that is coming into meta, as he's been using it, like you said, even prior to all these buffs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely something. Yeah, so that really was an exciting first round, first heat here from our top bracket. We're still kind of waiting here and there for our 3v3 to be set up here in between Glitch and WMD. Actually, believe it or not, those are some very exciting names to see here on the top. I don't believe I'm actually going to do a quick check here on the where our teams were standing last week. WMD was pretty solidly, if I'm just looking at the numbers here, they were pretty low. They were pretty low on the board, believe it or not. And so it's actually very pleasing to see them higher, already starting off strong here this week. So I'm very excited to see how they're going to be able to continue to move forward here. And Glitch was a little bit higher up. They weren't in the upper echelon, but I would think they were pretty middle of the road as far as last week. So both these teams are pretty middle of the road, lower tier as far as points were last week. And so, I mean, we still have a couple of weeks ahead of us, so really anything can happen. And so it's very exciting to see them continuing to be competitive here in these environments, especially with mind you, WMD is running one, maybe two subs. I actually don't really remember how many subs they're even running because some of these names aren't as familiar to me. So they're doing fantastic even with the subs that they've got.
Yeah, funny enough, I think WMD might actually be 3 subs right now.
Oh my
Maybe
gosh.
Jimbo is on their original roster with Bravado, but it's interesting to see, knowing that WMD is going to be expecting their strategy. I wonder if that's going to play into how they're playing around these steals at the end of the fights, because obviously Hot Show is going to be staying on Sword. And they're going to be doing the smoke APS stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how Glitch plays around them, maybe being expected to do those smoke APS steals. And I wonder if we have any gadget swaps on WMD side.
Yeah, that's very good read. We're going to actually be able to see that now that we're finally into the game here. Excuse me. We've got a couple of pretty interesting comps here. I Love Rice running that FCAR and DMAT is something that you don't see very often, but I mean, it still can be very powerful if utilized well. So it'll be very interesting to see how they're able to get that working. Uvinity already taking low HP. Same with Viz. Taking a lot of chip shots at far range here. It looks like they're all running pretty standard comp here from Glitch. It'll be very interesting to see what kind of strategies that WMD continues to employ. Be interested to see if they want to go ahead and open this vault first, even though none of them have an advantage. And it looks like they're opting not to because, you know, you really want to be careful with this first vault plug, but it looks like they went ahead and opened it anyways. They weren't interested in waiting for an advantage to come to them. They do have a little bit of the closer to vault advantage, but they don't exactly have the high ground advantage. And so be interested to see how these teams are going to play it, if they're going to start brawling here or if this vault's going to stay stagnant for a little bit longer.
Yeah, my guess here is that they're going to be looking for a pick, and if they can't get a pick, they may try to sneak this vault over to B. But it actually looks like Tank Heroes moving in, Uvinity closely behind. They're wrapping around, looking for this opening RPG.
TP is set up for Viz here, which is something that he just put silently there. It looks like he's going to jump right back in and help his team for the fight. I thought it would have been a very interesting play to pull that TP. Rice taking the 3-bar, Viz to 1-bar. These teams are going to get in this brawl here and try and get something done here. Down goes Rice. Viz getting a great trade on 2 of them. Tank here on half HP. This is a 1v1 between the 2 of them. Can he clutch up? He does a huge 3-piece from Viz. Wow, that was incredible. Great recovery there from him. I mean, that is exactly what you want to see. Making that decision, the correct decision to help your team instead of continuing to set that teleport up. Help your team in that gunfight, and it paid off in dividends.
Yeah, so what I saw from Glitch there was I feel like they lacked maybe a little bit of patience. Maybe they perhaps knew that Viz was running that gateway, but the angle they took that fight from, it looked good for them, but they ended up getting traded out. Maybe took a little bit too much damage funneling through that door, allowing Jimbo to hit that winch, and Viz was able to clean up those kills.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a very good recognizing that. But it seems like we've actually, the pressure that has been applied here from Glitch has actually brought them in control of this box to be able to get that plug off. But that has given just enough time for WMD to try and get in here and get some frags. Rice does go down first. Jimbo is on half HP. Uvinity as well, 3-bar. Down is to 5 bars is Jimbo. They're trying to heal back up. Down goes Jimbo. And now Viz is last left alive in a 1v3. This is quite the most pure 1v3 you could possibly have. It looks like he's going to opt to play his life and wait for his teammates to coin. It doesn't look like he's very confident in taking a full util 3v1 here.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to wait for coins, and I didn't exactly see what happened, but like you mentioned, Glitch was able to somehow pressure them out of getting that plug, and they were able to plug that. And this is not really a team that you want to let have control of the box. You know, it can be really challenging stealing from this team with the APS and their ability to pocket heal Hacho with that sword in a close quarters proximity. It can be really challenging to win this fight. So let's see how they approach this here. Looks like they're coming up around the backside and almost got a pick there. It looks like Hacho's down. He dropped down. Viz trying to heal, but it looks like they do not have the high ground here. Healing up, they're going to need to flip this height, and they're going to have to do this fast. If they let them full reset, they're not going to have any time, but it's just Uvinity, and he's going to die to that fire.
Oh, dear. Wow. Yeah, okay, wow. That is so unfortunate here. Uvinity dying to that fire, kind of stuck in that crumbling building there. I believe there was either, I'm not sure if that was a pyromine or C4, really well placed here from Jimbo, and did just enough damage. They were able to win out on that fight, so it was really good teamwork there, but from WMD, and maybe a little bit too much impatience here from Glitch, or maybe just unfortunate positioning, kind of not able to read where WMD was playing, kind of just circling around them in a sense, and they did lose that cash out, which is very unfortunate to see. And now a little bit of a tempo advantage from Glitch, but or actually WMD, sorry, and looks like Glitch is going to jump in here and look for this fight, try and stop them from opening this vault, which I thought was just about to happen. And wow, good read. Viz not taking any damage, barely, from Tank Hero. Jimbo does take Hacho down. He is on half HP, but Tank Hero as well is on 3 bar. They're going to take this heavy 1v1, and the winch comes on clutch there. And that is a team wipe there. In the meantime, we did lose Uvinity to, I believe, I Love Rice. Good work. This has been incredible seeing WMD just really stepping up the game here. They've been playing incredible today, and they've been really putting this work in.
Yeah, it looked at the beginning of the cash out like they were yet to find their footing, but I think maybe when some of the nerves settled down and the chemistry started to build, it looks like they're starting to take these fights smart, and they're really like trying to stay aware. Like right there, like they always smelled a rat. You know, they knew Hacho was trying to play up on that flank. Like you mentioned, Viz was able to avoid taking any damage from that rocket, and they're going to get an early plug here. They're going to have a little bit of time to set it up, and they should be able to see where they're coming from here and maybe hold them and put a little bit of pressure on. Looks like Uvinity's looking for a pick with that repeater, and they're going to walk up, and it looks like WMD's actually walking around the backside of the building. They're going to flip this. I think they're waiting for Glitch to make their move here, and they're going to try to flip the height when they drop down. It also looks like they're wrapping around the backside here and opening up. Looks like we're going to get a fight started here.
Yeah, this fight is about to commence here. Great teleport coming through from WMD, looking for that RPG, seeing if he can get some damage off. Rice does go down, but Tank here and Hacho left a low HP. A great glitch on Viz. And now Jimbo trying to take a fight against Uvinity. Hacho does heal up. That light healing is just so powerful, but a great winch onto Jimbo, but that has bit him in the ass as he gets taken down to by that sword. Now a great res here coming out from Viz. It's a 2v2. There's a good reset. But the advantage is on WMD right now. They do have that cash out. They don't have the res on Jimbo, unfortunately, so they're going to have to do a lot of stalling. That pressure is just keep on mounting here. I Love Rice has to back out. The steal is going to come through. Is she going to be able to drop that? She does. Great drop. There's the jump pad as well to continue to keep that stall up, but that jump pad did go away pretty quickly, and now Jimbo is back up. Are they going to be able to stop it once again? Unfortunately not, and a trade does go through as Rice gets killed, but Hacho is quick to follow. Now this is in control of Glitch. It's going to be a difficult trade here to bring it back, but they are able to get Hacho down. They're going to jump in here. Jimbo is just getting healed up, but that mesh shield is just putting so much stall. That is a great APS use, but down goes Uvinity. Tank here, the last alive. And that was just enough stall to hold on. That was absolutely great defensive playing from Glitch.
Yeah, I think that if Rice's goo came in there, we would actually be looking at a 50-0, but her goo did not quite hit. That APS use was really nice there, and we're going to a final box.
Absolutely. Yeah. That APS absolutely saved their tails because that glitch grenade would have gotten that mesh shield down. And I think they would have died a lot sooner and given a possible last second return steal from WMD. But we are on to a third box here. Gonna get thrown on over towards the cash out. Great teleport use. Nobody was there to receive it just yet, though. And Glitch is just on the prowl. Their jump pad ready. There they go. Jump pad taking a look-see, trying to see somebody. But that DMAT is getting used as well. These off-meta utils are being used to their full capacity. Steal attempt comes through. Jump pad onto height as Jimbo. Looking for a great RPG. That mesh shield might have blocked all of the damage, unfortunately, as down goes Rice. And now it's a 2v3 here on the defense on the back foot. Jimbo's looking to see if he can get that res while Viz stalls for his team, but Uvinity has spotted him out, and he's going to take a ton of damage before he's even able to get that defensive dome back up. But Viz is able to help his teammate out and get a great frag being anywhere and everywhere. Rice is on 8 seconds for that coin. Uvinity is down. It's a 2v2, but the res might be able to come through. Viz has been able to stall successfully for his team. All three of them are going to teleport back up to the height and keep that pressure here onto Tank Hero and Hot Show. They're going to be forced to use that dome to pull that dome out, and there's the glitch in return. He does have 2 glitch grenades, remember. So if he tries to get that mesh off, but it's a little too late. He's down to 0 HP. Now last is Hot Show, and down he goes. That was a lot of back and forth between our teams here, but we've got a minute on the board here, Jax. Do you think that they're going to be able to bring it back, Glitch?
I don't know. It depends on how they prepare to do this APS steal. Obviously, WMD knows that that's what they're going to do. So depending on how they prep for it, they're going to have time to set it up. And we'll just have to see who ends up playing this better in the end.
Absolutely. It looks like Hot Show has brought his team on in. He does get sacrificed to that RPG and just a little bit of chip damage. And that pressure might be too big now with Tank Hero down to 4 bars. That winch, but that jump pad's able to save his life just a little bit. But that crowd countdown in the background is signifying that I don't think we have enough time left for this steal. And it looks like they're going to back out and play their lives because it looks like that first map is going to WMD.
Yeah, well, that was very nicely played, and like we mentioned, sometimes I think Glitch is playing off of element of surprise, but obviously if they know exactly how they're going to play and there's only 30 seconds left on the clock, not so much they can do there. If there is a team who's going to force that box, Glitch is definitely the team that I would choose. But yeah, I mean, that was a crazy match. It was really back and forth. I didn't know who was going to win there, but WMD did end up bringing that home.
Yeah, that was a crazy match for sure. And I was really having a good time watching on that second box the team coordination and how close these players were playing right next to each other on Glitch. They were basically mantling at exactly the same frame almost. And they were just able to just continue to play together, and they were keeping that team synergy as closely as possible. But unfortunately, even with that team synergy, there was just a lot of individual skill that I think was shining through on WMD. And even though they did have that individual skill, they played to their util to the best of their abilities, and they had that team coordination there, and they were able to just kind of eke that forward there, which was really incredible. I think Viz really showed up there. He was really able to kind of help his team. He got an incredible 3-piece earlier in the game, but even in that last fights that were happening there, he was just continuing. He would let the attention kind of fall off him. He would be able to get in there, get a pick, then he would bring the attention right back onto him while his teammates were getting that res. So I think there was just a lot of incredible work there pushed forward here from WMD. But I definitely don't want to discount that Glitch did play really well there. They were able to get that box flip, and they were able to play that stall, and they even managed to make that APS significantly worth it to hold themselves towards a box. So I really think both teams really shined here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Viz had an excellent performance, actually going 9-1. I'll have to take credit as I am his coach and mentor. So he'll love that I said that. But Viz played out of his mind. Jimbo played super well. Rice played great support medium, and yeah, like I mentioned, you cannot discount Glitch. Glitch played really well too, and it was anybody's game at multiple points. And yeah, I don't know. It just ended up being really entertaining, and looks like WMD came on top tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely really close. I definitely don't think that Glitch is going away thinking that they are by any means a bad team. I think they're going to be looking at that and they're going to go, we need to lock in. We just have a couple of edges to sand away here to kind of to really polish up. And I think that they're going to come back here in this next two heats and they're going to come back strong. And so they won't take no, they won't take loss as an answer. And so I think they're going to come back very strong. And so I'm very excited to see how they come forward. But in the meantime, however, we are getting set up here for our lower bracket of Heat 1, which, just to remind you all, was randomly selected. So none of these players or these teams necessarily are lower bracket quality per se. But these teams that we've got going forward here on the wonderful map of Fortune Stadium are going to be Ignite Gaming, Freelo, ZND, and Admin. There's a lot of big teams, big names here. I mean, obviously, we've got all of our 8 teams here listed out between this and last heat or last bracket. So obviously, these are all pretty familiar teams here, but I just cannot step away from the fact that these teams are all just incredible players and incredible teams. And so honestly, the thing that's craziest to me is you see there's a massive disparity between first and eighth. Like there's 7 whole places in the middle there, 6 whole places in the middle. But I don't think that means that there's a massive disparity in skill there. I think really anyone could be in eighth and anyone could be in first between these teams because some of these teams are just absolute heavy hitters. And so being in a lower bracket may seem bad, but I think they're just one kill away, one box away from bringing back into the high bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Just with the way that a game like the finals plays out, I don't think that there's necessarily massive skill disparities, like you said, V. And this is going to be very interesting. I'm excited to watch Fortune get played, and interesting to see if we are mostly sticking to meta here, or if there's going to be some off meta. And then the second thing I'm really interested to see as well is. If the pacing is going to be maybe a little bit better this time. I know that played a massive factor in the cash out we just watched. I'd be curious to see if these boxes are going to be, plugged around the same time, or if there's going to be disparity with that as well, and how that's going to affect the players in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested to see how the pacing is going to go forth here. We've already got a lot of good space being taken here from ZND in a box that you wouldn't expect them to hold, but it looks like they're going to immediately meet a fight here at top of this building. Down goes Evade, but it's a great trade onto Servent. Looks like they're going to be able to get that res pretty quickly back. Unfortunately, with Evade being stuck all the way up on height. Looks like they're going to jump on in here. We've got Freelo taking some fights on the ZND. They're going to continue to keep that pressure up as Zeus gets lit and taken down by Spooky's SA-1216, but a great trade coming forward with Shadow. Seeing if he can continue to keep that momentum ahead of him here as he tries to take fights. Super down to 1 HP. He does get taken down. Now Servent and Spooky here taking against Shadow. Not too much you can expect from Shadow in a 1v2, especially both of them bearing down on him like that. In the meanwhile, however, we do see Admin are able to get that first plug off. They are able to dominate that box, and they are able to bring it across the map. But Ignite are not going to let them take a setup as easily as they would have liked, as they're going to jump right on in here to try and keep that pressure high and try and keep that fight moving forward here. Jax, why don't you take us away here in this fight?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, looks like they're just doing some opening damage here, trying to play a little bit of chicken, but now they're rushing in. 2 picks. Reaper actually cleans up a 2-piece with that Lewis gun, and Ball Munched is dropping down. He's wrapped. Oh, but he's found. Dawn is going to clean that up, and it looks like Ignite is going to get the early flip. Okay, so yeah, that fight you know was over very quickly. They got some good opening damage, and they were able to capitalize. That Lewis gun, like we talked about, you know, so much spray and suppressive fire there, and then it looks like we are now watching Evade, and they're trying to find Freelo right now. Looks like they've located them in the steps. And they're looking for a big RPG here. You might find it. Big RPG. Gonna pick up Servant on that first blood. And they're also gonna pick up Super the Light. And that is another very quick fight. Yeah, it looks like teams are not willing to play chicken right now. They are just jumping on top of each other. And these are some fast fights, you know, big opening damage and able to capitalize on it, which is great. You know, you're going to minimize your third parties by being able to clean up team fights in the first 10 and 15 seconds. Those fights where everybody's resetting, coining in, getting staggered on top of box stagger is going to get you third parties. So just watching some real cinema here. These fights are going very well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we're playing ping pong here as we jump back and forth because we've already got a fight already pushing through as Reaper doing so much work with that Lewis gun, just getting so many kills. He's able to get the full three-piece himself and hold that box defense. In the meanwhile there, that was incredible work there as the box was slowly falling down further and further as Admin was trying to bring that down and get a steal attempt in. Unfortunately, they were not able to hold on to that. And our first two boxes are going to go ahead and finish here. A and B cashed out. Big money for both our teams here. Z and D actually able to hold on to that box as well as Ignite. But Z and D are not going to get it for free, even though they've got this box completed. They are down to low HP as they continue to take this fight. Getting the wipe here would suck, especially if they continue to hold the momentum otherwise, because they would be falling behind Ignite in the flow of things. But Shadow's able to get a kill on the Super as they continue to fight forward. Zooks jumping in there, taking a fight with Spooky's SA-1216, but unfortunately does not win that fight. And they do take an earlier wipe, but it is only 2K behind, but that is enough to make it a little bit harder for them. But actually, since they weren't even fighting on point, both these plugs are going to be able to get in for free here. So it's going to be very interesting to see where Freelo decide they want to head to be pressuring one of these two vaults. And it looks like they might be interested in trying to take the top dogs down.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice to take that fight from Freelo. They were able to rotate out, but I wonder why they didn't try to hold Z&D there, knowing that they didn't really have time for a great force on that box. But it looks like they're already up and back looking to fight again. Box is getting dropped, and Ignite is just kind of crouching around. They're trying to set up stall, and it seems like they know that they're above their head, and they're going to wrap around, looking for some opening damage, holding that red barrel. He's throwing goo that almost looked like a bait, actually. And it looks like Reaper is going to get some good opening damage, but he's getting chased down. He needs help from his teammates now, but they're nowhere to be found. He's going to go down, picked first, and Ignite is going to have to peel out of this. They have to play stall here, probably reset with a coin, but it looks like C&D is actually sneaking up the third party, and their timing on this might be impeccable. They're chasing down the last kill here. Reaper is actually going to get defib, but now we have a full reset, and Admin is across the map. It looks like just getting a box for free, but it looks like they've actually sent Ball Munched over too. So we have plenty of people in this fight. I wonder if this box is even going to be able to be flipped. I think Ignite is in a good spot here, unless they can't stop this, but they're coming in, meshing, and it looks like this might get flipped here. Oh, it does not. Stalled by Ball Munched, who's not even a part of any of the teams there.
Wow, that's actually incredible that they were able to stall it just at the very nick of time. I don't think there was much but a second left here on that steal. But an incredible reset from Ignite. They are almost all up. Jericho was up as well, but he did get taken down pretty quickly. And now Dawn is forced to jump in there and try and stop that steal. And it looks like they took that team wipe. They opted to take their team wipe earlier rather than later, especially with so many players in here. And they weren't able to get that done, and both our cash outs are going to finish. And now we've got different teams on top of the board here. Well, I say different teams, but Ignite is still leading the cause here. That was a lot of exciting team fight, and just Ball Munch was the only member of Freelo to decide to bring himself on over to the fourth party that cash out. And he's going to continue to get pressured, but he is able to get Vault 6 open, and it looks like both of them are controlling these vaults. And so they are trying to get their hands on first place as best they can.
Yeah, and it looks like Z&D's gonna get a plug here. That vault is coming through, so we might see admin take that gate, which they are going to take their gate. So we're going to have an instant fight here. Spooky knows that they're on top. Oh, excuse me. Freelo is going to drop the box, and they're prepared. Z&D definitely knows that they're here, and they're actually going to get huge RPG, dropping all three of them, wrapping around. And it looks like they're going to try the backside now. They were kind of lucky to get out of that without being punished too hard, but it is stalling a little bit of time here. They're going to pad up on the side, and their heavy misses the jump onto the radiator, and that's actually going to cost them. That is not a mistake you want to be making. He still can't get up on the pad, and finally going to get up there, and it may be too late. But it actually looks like he might be able to clean up this damage. Shadow, 1 bar, running away. He might be able to get out here. Actual 1 health, but he can't clean it up. He is able to kill Shadow, but he takes some damage for it. And Z&D, they need to reset. There's only 2 alive, and Evade is taking damage. Although they may be able to pick up the light here, getting pocket heal, but they're getting forced. Are they going to be able to stall this? They're not. And Shadow coins in, but Evade dies there. So they are able to get a reset. Are they going to push off of this? They need to capitalize, and they can't let them get a full reset. But taking damage again, I mean, Freelo is taking this fight from several different angles, and they're getting traded. Again, a 2v2. It depends here whether or not they're going to be able to get a reset. It looks like they're holding the res in the steps. It's going to be a 3v2. And they should win this here. They have Evade on the back foot. He's backing out. They were able to pick up the body, though, but there's no time on box.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the time is just counting down, and this fight has been dragging out. There's been fights happening all the way over at Cash Out A that we haven't even been able to chronicle as Ignite continue to hold on to this box, but they are down to 1 member here. I'm just kind of narrating both sides of the map as they happen in parallel. We've only got a couple seconds. I don't know if there's enough time for Evade to go for this point, and it looks like he's not, and that point is going to complete, but there's 10 seconds on the board, and all of Ignite is up, and they have been able to successfully wipe admin and keep control of their box. And there are your top 2 players of this lower bracket, top 2 teams, mind you. Ignite Gaming and Freelo have managed to secure their spot here into this top bracket 3v3 match that we'll be heading on towards very shortly.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to sting for Z&D. You know, Freelo was having trouble entering that fight with their heavy jumping up and down on the pad, but they weren't really able to capitalize off of it, and then their box ended up getting flipped. They weren't really able to reset. They were on staggered coins, so definitely not the way you want to take that fight, and they actually ended up getting 4th place by, I think, $100, so definitely not what you want to see in that scenario, and I'm really surprised Freelo was able to win that fight based on how scuffed their entry was.
Yeah, that's actually such a good point. I'm actually looking at the money right now, and it is literally less than $100. It is in the range of actually $21. So that wipe there at the very end there on admin actually put them in range of going down into 4th place. That's the difference of just a couple of points there in this bracket, but that could mean the difference between a couple of places in the long run here. So those are some big points. That is really unfortunate for Z&D to lose that to just a couple of bucks there, and they really, unfortunately, would have loved to hold on to that point. That's such a good point with Spooky not able to hit that jump pad successfully. Failing that one twice is something that you would normally see punished quite effectively in high-level lobbies like this, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to capitalize on it. I don't even know if they were able to, I don't know if Z&D recognized it quick enough for the jump pad play, because I did see Servant, I believe, was able to get quite a lot of good damage right off the bat before even being spotted with that CBO1 repeater. So really unfortunate, and they really did play their life pretty well there, and they waited for those coins to come in, but unfortunately they just didn't have the best angles on that box as it was getting stolen, especially with all 3 members there on that team alive. So it was really unfortunate to see, but again, Ignite is just showing continuous domination. They were showing a lot of good gameplay here in the last week, first play day here of Moolah Monday, and so they're just continuing to show that they are a dominating team, and they are a bunch of really good players. And I believe we are seeing a couple of different players here from Ignite. I know they have a pretty comfortable bracket of players who play on the Ignite team here, and so I believe we have previously been seeing Wackarees. He seems to be not playing tonight for whatever reason. So it's impressive to see all of these players able to play at this high level and this high coordinated level, nonetheless. As we look like we're going to go ahead and prep up this 3v3 here on the wonderful Fortune Stadium between Ignite and um, remind me who the second team was. I've already forgotten off the top of my head here. I believe
It's
that
Ignite
is
and
going to be
Freelo.
Freelo,
Yeah.
thank you. I was going to say Freelo, but I didn't want to say it wrong. But I'm excited to see how Freelo is able to match up to Ignite's gameplay here. I don't know if they really spent too long fighting each other directly in regular battles in the regular cash out, Jax.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well. And you know, it's interesting too. I was thinking back about how Ball Munched actually ended up bailing out Ignite on that second box where they were third-partied, and it would have been maybe a different game if somebody else had controlled that money. But you know, now we're in the 3v3, and you know, Fortune 3v3 is always interesting. You know, it's a map that has a hospital point, and we're gonna see how they end up playing around this. Spooky and Co are on top of the roof. Looks like they might be trying to get some opening damage, and then they're going to do one of these slanted pads. They're going to mesh over, opening the fight with a red barrel. It goes straight through the glass. Oh, but lots of damage on M11. Looks like we are going to get a pick from Jericho. And yeah, Reaper's looking for an RPG. Servant is wrapping back around towards the whole town building, but it looks like they know the general area of where he went, and they're going to get this tap. So potentially going to get a plug here, but they were able to get that res.
Yeah, and that's a great res to come through there, but unfortunately it's a little bit poorly timed as Jericho and and Reaper, pardon me, are able to completely clean that up. Reaper was able to just barely spot it as Super was getting that res off on Spooky just 1 second away. So it's definitely left on that back foot when they lost Spooky immediately. They were trying to get that quick reset, but the box was finally open, and then the Ignite came in and dominated that fight. Now this cash out's in a pretty rough spot. It's pretty hard to get this cross, especially when you got someone watching the cross here, Jax. How do you think that they're going to be able to get this cross?
Yeah, so I mean, if this were me, I would probably try to set up a gate pad, you know, just like this. That was a risky angle to take, honestly, but it didn't look like they were really pressuring it. So they're actually able to get over for free, and they're walking up the stairs now. Looks like they're, again, you know, you're always going to see them look for this opening damage, you know, with an RPG, a red barrel, whatever it might be, and they're just trying to sneak around. They're actually trying to flip over to the other steps, and I don't think Ignite is aware of their position. They still think that they're under, and they're crouching around trying to sound whore, but nobody's making any noise here, and it looks like there actually was maybe some sight. Yes, Jericho did see them, so they know where they are now, and they're all crouched up in the steps, so curious to see how they take this fight.
Yeah, it's been very curious, especially when you get the rotate coming forth. Spooky with that RPG in hand, looking to see if he can hit anything. Unfortunately, just enough life was played, and the time was played very well there. Super was taken down to 1 HP, but looks like the rest of the team is there to follow it up, but unfortunately not able to get that frag down, as Super did go down and following a Spooky, and now Servant, the last member on this team. Not too much that he can do here in this fight. Is able to take Dawn to low HP, but unfortunately, the amount of time that they spent trying to tactically move themselves around this cash out has lost them this fight, and that is kind of the only fight that they are here fighting on this cash out B, and now they're going to have to move it to the next box.
Yeah, that was an interesting way that they ended up approaching that fight. You know, someone got caught out and unfortunately got chased down by Jericho with the M11 and getting blooded there in that scenario, trying to do the flank, especially after you spent all that time kind of sneaking around. You're only going to get one fight at hospital. And, you know, they ended up not taking it properly, ended up getting blooded. And so we've already got box one over to Ignite Gaming.
Yeah, and it looks like our teams have decided to reset to some form of poke strategies here, but that's a great gate pad to bring them on over towards the Hotel building and bring Freelo in a little bit closer towards this vault. And it looks like Ignite are confident enough in the pressure that they've been making that they're going to open that vault and continue onwards with the objective of this gameplay. Reaper taking that TP. It's a great spot for it. Not able to find a good RPG. Is looking for a little bit of damage there. Dawn in such an insanely high spot is spotted out. Super is trying to take him down, but he does have just enough goo that unfortunately he's punished for going for that shots on the goo. And now with Dawn on such a high ground spot that it's going to be really difficult for them to be able to reset here. Freelo is going to have a lot of difficulties in trying to manage this working. Reaper jumps right on in there, which is bold. Doesn't get any kills, but they do get that reset. And Dawn decides to jump on down from the high ground spot, but I bet they're still worried about it. It looks like they might have been for a little bit. That's just being there once is enough to keep the pressure on. But Freelo is going to go make their way up towards the higher grounds of this Easthold building right next to the Hotel as Ignite as well go for that high ground, but a great pick onto Super. Again, that light on no HP is just not able to get much done, especially when getting tagged up from the repeater. But jumping in is Jericho, getting so much damage. Now Servant and Spooky both on 1.5 bars each. They're going to have to try and reset and play their life here if they're able to get these heals off. The heal beam is supporting the team here. Now they've got their instas back again. That plug has begun. And now they've finally been able to fully reset here. Jericho is actually down still. So they might be able to take advantage of this. Freelo might be able to get a good early push here while Jericho is stuck with just a couple seconds left on this coin. But it looks like Ignite had this cash out in the other building, and they were just keeping the early pressure to keep them scared and slow down their push.
Yeah, that was a really interesting fight. You know, it looked like Dawn initially being up on that goo was going to give them so much of an advantage, but they actually let Freelo reset, and then they kind of met for a plug. It was kind of drawn out, and it was a little bit weird, but Ignite ending up on top anyways. And we've already got about 1 minute left. Looks like they're going to be fighting now, and they're getting pushed back by Reaper. Looks like Servant's gonna go down, maybe. Yep, he's down, and yeah, now Dawn's running for his life, but Super's gonna wipe, and that looks like it's gonna be it for Fortune Stadium. They may have time for one last suicide push here. But this is looking a little bit bleak. You know, you're working in a hotel building, which is very, very many floors, lots of stall potential here. Ignite should not lose this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially with the stalling that they've been playing so far, it should be a pretty cut and dry solution here, especially with that gas on it. But Freelo does have one more try here. They did spawn in. Took them a long time to get that spawn forward. Super's able to get the TP out, but his teammates haven't been able to take it, unfortunately, so nobody's there to try and pressure the point, and they're just forced to be playing hide and seek here on low ground, getting pressured. Dawn looking to get that frag, not able to finally get that final kill with Servant on low HP. That was some really well played gameplay there from Ignite. And again, like you were saying about that drawn out box fight, seemed to be taking a long time, and these teams seem to be continuing just to like run circles around each other. But I mean, this is kind of the difference in a mindset between some of these players here in the Ruby level and in this coordinated team play environment, and maybe your average gold solo queue teammates is you really got to balance these two acts that you have in this 3v3. You've got your gunfight and how you want to win that gunfight, but you also want to move that objective forward slowly and carefully, especially if you're holding good pressure and are dominating in the fights and taking that advantage. So it was really well balanced from Ignite in pushing that vault for further and further towards that cash out. And you even saw them fighting in a completely different building just adjacent to that cash out, just keeping that pressure high, making it seem like they're defending right next to a cash out, but it was actually pretty far away. So they had a lot of lines of defenses of just holding that massive amount of map control just really slows down a push from any team. And so that was just really well played, Jax.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, V. I honestly think that this match was more about what Ignite did correctly, more so than what Freelo did wrong. Because, maybe you could nitpick some of the mistakes, some of the ways that they approached some of the fights, but a lot of what Ignite was doing was playing patient. And I think that that's why they came out on top. They never really put themselves in a scenario where they got impatient and they ended up like throwing their lives. One example of this on that second long drawn out vault fight, Reaper at one point, they gooed off and it looked like they were getting the res in there. Reaper walked through the door, took two big burst shots from SA-12 and instantly peeled. Whereas a lot of people I think would say, well, I'm already in the fight. I'm just going to try to do what I can. And that was right after the defib. And let's imagine that after the defib, he dies instantly. Suddenly, you flipped it. You think that you're in such a good position in this 3v2. Then your heavy goes in, dies, and then you're in a 2v3 and you don't have any of the utility like mesh or dome that they've got. So just really, on your toes, patience. And I think that they played that super well. And, it's hard to pick apart, necessarily what Freelo did wrong. It really is just, great cash out from Ignite.
Absolutely. Definitely. Just, yeah, I would 100% agree with everything you said there. I think that was a really good analysis. Definitely Ignite really did a lot well there. But I think that was a pleasure of a game to watch, even though it seemed like Freelo was really on the back foot for some of it. I think they really did keep up good pressure sometimes. But that was a fantastic first heat. I'm looking forward to our second heat here as we transition forward here. We're going to actually go to a little bit of an intermission here as we get ourselves set up and reorganize here, and catch our breath, get yourself some water, get yourself a snack as we get set up for heat 2, and we will see you right back here shortly.
Welcome back, everybody, to Moolah Mondays, Playday number 2. Here we're taking a look at the bracket, and we've got Ignite Gaming in the lead here, and then it looks like WMD is in second place. So just taking a look here. Any thoughts, V, on how the bracket's playing out?
Well, honestly, I am surprised. Like I made a note about Steppers here. They've been a standout team from last play day. And it looks like they have unfortunately not gotten as many points as they probably would have liked here. They are kind of in the bottom of this high bracket. So they are a little bit lower here in the points. So I'll be very interested to see if they're going to be able to bring it back and show up here in Heat 2. Um, that's probably the biggest standout here for me, but everyone else has been playing well, and I'm very pleased for how they've been playing, and I'm looking forward to see how they're going to hash it out here in our next match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got a really interesting bracket coming up. We've got Glitch, WMD, Freelo, and Ignite. So very excited to take a look at how that plays. Of course, last time we had a really interesting steal after a staggered vault by Glitch, and I'm interested to see how them being in this lobby may affect what this cash out looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see how they are going to perform here in this lobby. Ignite is definitely probably going to be riding off of that win there, that cash out win followed by that 3v3 win, and they're probably got a lot of confidence here going into this match. So that might be able to change their gameplay. That might bring them up a little bit higher in what they do in this match. So it'll be very interested to see. how they strategize and how they pressure. But it'll also be very interesting to see how the rest of these teams play around them, knowing that they are the dominant team in this lobby. They might give them a little bit more pressure. They might avoid them a little bit more, depending on how confident they are fighting against them. So there is plenty of interesting dynamics to continue to develop here in a cash out round with this controlled chaos in our beautiful dynamism shooter that is the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself. I mean, we're just going to have to see how this plays out. I mean, Fangway City, it's going to be an interesting map, and I think it's going to be really box dependent too. You know, like where the cash boxes actually spawn and where people have to fight and who they have to fight at those places may affect the decisions that they're making. You know, for example, I don't think I'd want to push a box that's in one of those big skyscrapers knowing that Glitch is going to be set up there, you know. So be interesting to see if that makes any sort of impact on how players are making decisions.
Yeah, that is a very good point. I'm very interested to see how that impacts these players' decisions, but I do know Embark recently updated the way that these cash outs and these boxes spawn. So I'm interested to see if these players are going to decide based off of what team they're going against and what building, or if they're going to be kind of rather to be in the state of not taking those third-party fights and kind of taking those regular team v team fight. But I mean, I know these teams are not afraid to go for those third-party fights and not even afraid to go for that fourth-party fights. So anything can happen here. Like I just mentioned, the spawns have been changed. Both these cash outs and these vaults are basically across the map from each other. First blood finally coming through from Super onto Rice. So there's not too many opportunities for a third party unless you go really far out of your way for it. As this fight continues to heat up, Reaper able to get a great frag onto Tank Hero. Divinity's able to get that trade as well. And now they're both down to 2 players here. Actually, I'm sorry, Hacho is going to be the last member on his team. Divinity did get taken down by Reaper. And down he goes. Down he falls to Vault 1 as it decides it's going to head over towards Cash Out A. Vault 2, on the other hand, though, is just opening now, and these teams are fighting between A and B still for a little bit longer. There is another team wipe here. Jimbo, final member to go down on WMD. And there are your 2 plugs almost identically right next to each other as far as time goes.
Yeah, those were some interesting first fights, you know, like you mentioned, too, about the update. Yeah, these boxes are spawning a lot closer, allowing for easier rotates, but looks like Glitch is going to respawn, and they're already there, taking a little bit of damage. Uvinity's low, but we have Hacho on the flank. He's actually going to catch him off guard, and Reaper's actually picked. So I'm curious to see if they're going to go for this force instantly. It looks like they've locked down where Jericho is running, and he's going to go down as well. So we only have Dawn alive, and Dawn is actually going to get a pick. He's taking a little bit of damage, though, but he lives on 1 health. And that's giving Reaper just enough time to coin. They're resetting right now. Tank Hero pressuring, coming closer with the M60, meshing for his team, doing a little bit of damage here, but they're actually getting flanked, and they didn't notice, and Divinity is going to go down, and that's going to be a wipe. Wow, I think perhaps they got a little bit too aggressive there. I mean, they gave up their high ground and ended up getting flanked. Now into a fight over on the other side of the map. They're both picking up a couple kills.
Close out pretty quickly there. That is a nice wipe onto Freelo. But yeah, just looking back at that fight between Ignite and Glitch, I mean, Glitch seemed to have a massive upper hand there. Seeing Dawn kind of take a 1v2 in a surprisingly bold fashion, maybe a little bit overextended, just able to live off of the just less than 1 bar of HP, literally like less than 10 HP. Bringing that back with his teammates' coin, he's able to bring it back, and they were able to really position themselves in such good spots. But this fight has reignited itself once again, and the steal attempt coming through here. Divinity is looking for that steal. He doesn't take a lick of damage as he's able to take that steal, and now that box is in the hand of Glitch. And even if they're on the back foot, they're not even on the back foot. Jericho is the last member on this team, and a great steal and a great defensive hold there for the flip there from Glitch, able to really lock in there. That I told you before that they were not happy with the spot they were in, and they have definitely shown it.
Yeah, I mean, they are a force to be reckoned with, obviously. And back over to this fight here, the vault is over, but Viz is actually able to get the wipe onto Super. So Freelo's going to respawn, and they're going to be tapping 4. Now, this is really interesting part of the game. Will Vault 3 be moved by Glitch to the same box? If they go C, that could put WMD in a really sticky situation here, having to rotate out of the middle of the map. And it does look like they're trying to go to the same box. This could be a game-defining moment here. And is Hacho going to get the plug? I mean, it's looking hectic. This is a good spot for him to be in with the sword, and Jericho's here as well. So, I mean, we've got 3 teams here fighting, and
Viz
we're in a unique
plug.
Oh, nice. Yep, plug from Viz, and this is interesting. It looks like 3 is on the move to D. So, Ignite doesn't want any part of a double box there.
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually crazy. We look like they've finally got Viz, the last member here on WMD, is forced to back out there as Glitch are able to take that flip. But, I mean, we saw so many teams head on over towards Cash Out C with it being close to both vaults. Nobody decided to go for Cash Out D, but Ignite were finally able to barely snag Vault 4 and bring it on over towards D, but they were going to lose Jericho, and the other 2 members on their team are going to coin once again. Actually, I don't think they did coin. It looks like they are around still. A steal is going to come through. Are they going to be able to stop it? Ignite Reaper might not be able to get that RPG off in time, especially not with a dome shield like that. That dome shield was just enough to stop an RPG drop as they got that steal. And now all 3 members of Ignite are back and all grouped up together. And so this could be a very interesting fight. Great read with that red barrel to open up the engagement. Not able to get too much damage immediately, but they're still jumping in here. Reaper getting so much damage onto Spooky, down to 3 bar. Now getting pressured here with that mesh shield, forced to back out. Did get a little bit of heals, but maybe not enough as Servant taken down to 1 bar. He's going to get pressured continuously here from Dawn. Not able to get up with that glass in the way. The drop coming down. He's still holding on to that steal. Reaper is able to get that steal. There's a minute left on the clock of that Cash Out. Spooky pushing Dawn, keeping the pressure high. Is forced to back off once Jericho gets into the mix here, and down they go. And that is a team wipe and a great reset and re-aggro here from Ignite.
Yeah, looks like we're back over on this other Cash Out, but they're gonna get wiped. They tried to force there, but this is kind of what I was talking about with the areas of fighting. You know, these are very close quarters boxes, and Hacho's sword is definitely shining in those scenarios. So going into this last vault here, both of the last vaults, it looks like Ignite is going to be coming into second place, Glitch on top. So, you know, this is a game-defining moment. You know, however this first plug happens and exactly how these teams play and rotate here is going to be extremely important and going to decide the outcome of this match.
Absolutely, and it looks like Vault 6 is in a precarious position here because even with these new spawns, Vault 6 is almost as close to A as it is to B. Actually, in fact, a little bit closer. So 5 might be pressuring A, and so there's a real chance of a double, real possibility of a double. But these teams are fighting here on Vault 5. All 3 members of WMD are up and alive. They are able to take down 2 members of Freelo as they go for the rotate. And believe it or not, a crazy pull on over towards B attempt. But unfortunately, Super is punished there for that box attempt to bring it over towards B. And that box is trying to be thrown away here from Ignite as they get that plug. And now they aren't exactly in first place, but they will be in first place if they're able to hold on to this vault. And now we've got 2 teams fighting over almost nothing. Vault 5 is on over. Cashbox 5 is finally get plugged here as Freelo do wipe once again. Now they're back on the respawn here, and Glitch are just kind of resetting here. They do get that plug, but it looks like WMD on 2 members are going to actually go for this point. Great teleport setup here from Viz to reset. Jimbo getting pressured here from Hacho. Great frag, really showing how to counter a sword in a sense with that winch. Pressuring Uvinity down. Goes Uvinity tank here, the last member for on his team. Can he be a tank and a hero at the same time? He's going to taking this fight. Unfortunately, he doesn't do either of the above mentioned name pieces, and he does go down. But on the other side of the map, Freelo have opted to run away. They're not interested on heading towards B, and Jericho was chasing them, but has finally opted to run away. Jax, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge pick by Jimbo. You know, if Jimbo is able to get ducked and dodged around, you know, that's a completely different fight if Pacho's able to win that. But they were able to clean up pretty quickly after. Now we're back into the action, though. Over on B, it looks like Freelo's taking a lot of damage here, super dead. And Jericho has angles. Oh, they're going to go down here. He was able to harm his teammate, but unfortunately, that's all she wrote for Freelo. They're going to be a non-factor for the rest of this game. And it looks like Hacho's team, Glitch, is back over at on A. They need to prepare for the steal. Tank Hero is getting ready. They're dropping. C4's off, but bouncing on a pad. Going to buy them a couple seconds. They need to be ready for this. This is a huge kill. Winched. Both low. They could win this here. Viz with the pick. But Hacho cleaning it up. And Tank Hero killing Viz. There's only 7 seconds left. It's just Rice. It looks like they might have time here. And they're actually going to get killed by Orange. So, yeah, wow, what a cash out. That was a really interesting result. Is that what you kind of expected, V?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really know what to expect here coming into this game. I mean, all of these teams have been showing up. I'm a little bit disappointed in Freelo's performance here. They really, in the lower bracket of Heat 1, they did show up and they were able to make their way on over towards that top 3v3, the winners 3v3. Unfortunately, in this higher bracket with some of these other teams, maybe they're just not able to play suit, or maybe this isn't a map that they're as comfortable with. So they were really struggling, but it was very interesting to see Ignite's strategy there at the end. They decided that they wanted to continue to let who was that? Was that WMD? Hold on to that cash out there for a little bit longer. Yeah, it was WMD. Hold on to that cash out a little bit longer and not let that flip happen over towards Glitch's benefit, because I guess they would have preferred to take a fight with WMD than Glitch, as they were not in the yeah, they didn't fight any of them in Heat 1. I was just looking over there at the bracket to just verify where they were. They were in the lower bracket, but now being in that higher bracket, they're able to choose, even in this lobby, the teams that they're fighting to a degree at the end, with the way that they were able to dominantly hold on to that last cash out.
Yeah, it's interesting too, you know, that they did decide to stall that, because there's an alternate universe in which they could have helped them steal that. So, you know, Rice was in a position by herself, last alive, and it was all on her. And, you know, had they decided to, you know, get that team out, then, you know, there was potential that Rice would have had a much harder time stalling that. But yeah, like you mentioned, they wanted to fight WMD, and I wonder, you know, why exactly? Maybe they're just not in the business of fighting the strategy of Glitch. But going to be interesting, because both of these teams, they do run pretty standard meta comps. I think the only difference is that Rice has been on DMAT tonight. So interesting to see how that medium v medium is going to play out.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be very interesting to see how that plays, especially running that DMAT and FCAR is something that we're not seeing very often right now in this league. It is still played around a lot in regular ranked modes and stuff, but you don't see it as often here with that repeater. If you have proficient medium player, they're going to be able to dish out so much damage with that repeater. It is just so absurd how much damage that repeater can get out. And so it's so much more worth it to have a teammate on your medium being able to just take that huge chunk damage, and then you as a heavy or you as a light are able to get in there and just kind of chip away the rest of that HP. So it'll be very interesting to see that medium v medium dynamic of your heal beam and your CBO1 repeater versus that FCAR and that DMAT. It'll be very interesting to see. I have noticed Rice has been struggling a little bit with that goose stall. Me personally, I can't do goose stall very well for whatever reason. Really struggling to get that out. Rice has been missing a couple of crucial goose stalls. Hasn't been punished too much yet, but I'm hoping that she finds some better places for this goo to stall a little bit better for the team and maybe not get punished in the future, because other than that, she's been playing phenomenally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think we've all lost a little bit of elo from not hitting our goose dolls properly. But yeah, opening fight, it looks like they're going to get the pick. Viz is going to go down quickly. That repeater doing a lot of damage. And a trade on Reaper, though. They're heavy for their light. Interesting to see how this is going to play out here. Jericho able to land the glitch. They're both resetting. Rice hits Jericho down to 50 health. And he's going to wrap, and he's going to try to look for a flank angle here. They're not really able to reset Viz, so WMD, they just want to kill time here. They want to play Viz's coin or his res, but they just need to stall. Looks like Jericho is trying to be a mosquito here. He's looking for an angle, and they're looking every angle here. Jimbo's going to go down to half, and Viz is going to be coming off the coin here, and we don't even have a tap on either side yet.
Yeah, oh my gosh, what an incredible spawn from Reaper. Reaper's spawned basically in a perfect sandwich spot to sandwich the entirety of WMD. I think that's really just unfortunate, especially with Viz being able to get a quicker spawn off, but he was just so far away. I really think that that was a battle determined by the spawn system, which is not something that you want to have, especially as a competitive team in a competitive environment here. So it was really unfortunate to see from WMD that Ignite were able to get such a dominant, great spawn to come forth. But that was just the first fight, and the vault is getting open now, so there's a chance that WMD is able to claw themselves back into this fight and keep the pressure high, as it looks like Ignite is choosing to head their way on over towards A, especially with this teleport. Be interested to see if they are able to continue this forward. WMD is playing low. They definitely hear them. They haven't spotted them, and they haven't been spotted either, so this is huge. There is the zip up. There is dropping Reaper. He is now isolated by himself. He's going to get pressured. Down he goes, taking a lot of damage with him, but he is down, and now it's a 2v3, and there isn't a trade this time to save them or a coin battle to save them, but Dawn might be here to save the day here, getting so much pressure with that repeater. Like I was saying, that high damage, and there is a great dive in from Jericho to get that teleport away and get the res coming through. And it looks like the opportunity has been seized by WMD as they choose to go for this flip, to go play on the defensive instead of playing on the offensive here, especially while the reset is coming through. Great frag from I Love Rice onto Dawn as this fight continues to rage on. Jericho trying to tap away, but the heals come forth, bringing Rice right back up to full health.
Threat detected.
Great jump pad, trying to see if they can get some info. Rice diving in by herself, a little bit of a bold maneuver, but deciding to get out. That is what that DMAC can specialize in. But all three members of this team are up, and this fight continues to rage on. Jericho getting a great flank here onto Jimbo, not able to commit with that frag. Does finally get helped out by Reaper to take Jimbo down, and now the 2v3 is on the other side of this equation here. A still being held by WMD as these teams continue to fight. Dawn taking down the half HP. A steal attempt finally coming through from Reaper. Viz is not able to get there in time, especially with the pressure from Dawn. The flip does come through. He's forced to back off. The cash out does drop down. This cash out is now in control of Ignite. Great frag onto Jericho is coming from Viz. And now back in another 2v3. These teams just love playing their 2v3s. Great steal attempt coming through. So much damage. Is able to get the flip and the great teleport to get out. And now Dawn is able to get that pick onto Jimbo. And now, unfortunately, both their players are low on HP. 3 bars each. There's not much time left for this steal. They're just going to have to go for frags here. And that cash out is secured beautifully by WMD. What a great cash out fight, Jax.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, that opening pick, I mean, it looked like Jericho had the kill secured onto Viz, but Viz was actually able to turn and burn him with the V9S, probably 2 double headshots. He got incinerated, and that opened up the steal attempt. And so, yeah, it really looked like Ignite had control of that vault, and they're actually going to lose the fight afterwards, so that's going to give them decent pacing. And I want to go back a little bit, talking about the spawn system. That fight was so drawn out without a tap. They were able to open that fight and get that pick onto Reaper because of where they spawned. So, yeah, sometimes, you know, you don't even get blessed for winning your initial fight.
Yeah, Absolutely. Looks like this fight is gonna maybe continue forward here. These teams, the Ignite jumps up on the high ground, but smartly WMD decides to back off from the high ground. This vault is open, but nobody's bold enough to try and go for it, especially with it being in the open and everybody here just watching these windows, ready to just absolutely decimate anyone who tries to go for this point. Viz might have been spotted out here by Dawn. I'm not sure if that has been... No, it doesn't look like that has been the case here. But these teams are not exactly excited to be the first one to make that engagement, because if they are going to be picked off, it is going to make it really hard for their team. And Jericho, jumping in there, is able to get that teleport through without taking any damage. And this fight still hasn't even really started, Jax.
Yeah, it has not. It looks like they're just waiting for the right moment while Ignite is really focused on moving the box, but it looks like Jimbo's actually able to flip the height here. He's getting called up on. He's going to get RPG by Reaper, but what a winch! Wow. But Dawn is actually able to kill two during that, so almost for no value. Unfortunately, but he is able to grab, I think that's Rice's body. He's going to get a reset here, and they're going to do the same. But Dawn actually found them, and they're getting jumped on, and now Rice is in a 1v2. Not going to happen. What a winch, though. That was crazy, but Dawn was able to nullify that by hitting two crazy repeater shots during it. That was an amazing fight.
That certainly was a crazy fight once it finally let itself get into the full swing. That was actually crazy. Incredible winch from Jimbo there, and Jimbo playing his life to a degree of perfection he could possibly have mustered there, because they were both those heavies were on basically 1 HP by the end of that fight, and Jimbo just barely able to eke out the winning of his one. Fortunately, the rest of his team did go down, so it was a lot to ask. He was able to get that res off, but Dawn, with that huge combo with the repeater headshot melee, just stopped any form of regeneration that he had. And unfortunately, they were on the back foot after that. They did wipe the cash out now. 1 minute on the clock here. Not the end of the world for Ignite to hold on to this. They could go to another cash out. Ignite would want that, but WMD certainly does not want that. Jericho is down to 1 bar, getting pushed by Viz. Full HP, great frag. Reaper and Dawn down to a 2 bar as well. Reaper, the only member of his team, basically, to go for any amount of stalling. And nobody's going for this dome, which is a bold pick, but a lot of heals coming forth. Great flip, incredible choice to flip that. But now they might be pressured on this, and now it's on to Jimbo. Last member on his team. Feel like I'm saying this word's a little too much. Great attempt. He's going to get the flip once again. Another flip coming forward. And now, in this 2v1 is going to be really difficult, especially with Jericho getting that coin off. Not very much time left on the clock here, and only 10 seconds from his teammates. Jimbo is going to be not able to get this flip finally, and the wipe doesn't mean anywhere near as much anymore, especially when that cash out has ran itself to completion, and we are moving to a 3rd box.
Yeah, you know, I think that's the first time we're really seeing a difference between gadget picks here and specialization picks, because Rice is not on Healing Beam, and got put in kind of a strange situation there. You know, you imagine if Jimbo's able to steal there while getting Healing Beamed, he's able to reset a little bit faster and can potentially stall that for them. And yet again, Dawn winning them the fight. You know, Viz got that pick there, and it looked like it was all she wrote, but Dawn able to clutch up again with that CBO1 repeater.
Yeah, it looks like WMD have opted to go for that vault open, especially when they got that early damage onto Dawn, who has been showing a lot of great promise, especially in these gunfights with that CBO1 repeater. If you can hit your shots on it, you can be a devastating force. And Dawn definitely has that. Heal Beam not able to do enough for Jericho as he goes down, and Dawn moved the 3 bars down. Down he goes as well. Reaper, last member alive. Gonna be interesting to see what the strats are. Reaper trying to wipe as quickly as possible, because he doesn't want to spend any time waiting for respawns that are about to get reset anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to wipe in a situation like that. You'll see this often at the Ruby level, and even at LAN, we saw it. People are going to stall you out. So it was good on him to go ahead and wipe there and reset for a fresh fight. Looks like they're trying to winch pad it, getting it to another area, but we might actually see them both get caught out here. I think maybe they heard something. They almost certainly know that they're on top, hearing that pad. So they're all sitting down in that corner, and they're going to waste a lot of time here. They don't know where WMD is. Looks like they found them, though, and they're all funneled. Jericho going to shoot a couple V9S bullets, looking to play off that glitch, but it won't connect. And they're wrapping around the backside. They need to pad here. They need to get height, or they're just going to die. All bunched up together like that. Going for the force now, though. Walking up on it. They're going to pad. Good shots out of Jericho to get Rice one. Rice is just a bar. This is going to get a pick, though, but Dawn is going to clean up. Big kill onto Rice, and he needs to get out with his life here. They're going to take the fight. Reaper's low. But so is Viz. Viz is going to get the kill. Jimbo's going to kill himself, but Viz is going to clutch. That's for the match. Wow.
1 HP clutch is absolutely insane from Viz. That was an incredible fight to watch that one go through. I mean, these teams, WMD was trying to play the stall, trying to play as silently as possible. They were walking right next to each other a couple of those times. And then the jump pad, they were getting a little bit split. The flip was coming from Ignite as they were able to get that flip. And then they were taking those fights. They did get the heavies down, but they were both able to get that reset. And it was looking promising for Ignite, but an incredible reset there from WMD, bringing it back into the fight and just barely on just the tiniest sliver of HP. Viz is able to clutch up that 1v1 in against that other light of Jericho. With both of them running that V9S was just an incredible mano-a-mano fight right there. That was just absolutely incredible. That is the individual skill that I've been talking about tonight. That was really, really good. But I definitely don't want to discount Dawn. Has definitely done a lot of work for their team. Dawn really showed up. I feel like Dawn has just consistently been showing up, especially on that repeater. Just absolutely dealing devastating output, enabling the team to do what the rest of the team can possibly do.
Yeah, Dawn is an excellent player, and I mean, Ignite has been playing out of their minds all night. But tonight's X factor, I think, has to be Viz. In both of the 3v3s, he played well in the cash outs, but he shined in both of the 3v3s, bringing his team to victory both times. That was a massive clutch, and that was just a great match of cash out 3v3, and happy to be a part of it and happy to have witnessed it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was an incredible 3v3. And I mean, even with that clutch from Viz was incredible. All the rest of those cash outs were also incredible in their own right. I mean, like you were saying, you were making a note about how the gadget choices from these players did affect that second cash out and made it a lot easier for Ignite to take those fights in a little bit of an open area. And the way that those steals were coming forth, especially with just a little bit of pressure from the other side. It really kind of shined in all three of those cash outs, shined in different ways. The fights were just almost entirely different. I mean, you had the first cash out was a lot of elongated fighting. It was really long fights, actually. I mean, they would get the first frag, they would get the reset, they would get the first frag, they would get the reset. There was a couple of flips coming forth there. That second cash out, you were starting to see a little bit more fragging coming forth on both teams, and one player kind of left to try and defend a losing cash out. And then that final cash out was a little bit more stealth managed by WMD. They decided to play a little bit more slowly to kind of make it difficult for Ignite to find them. And I think it worked out in their favor. It definitely could have not worked out in their favor, but they played it well. And especially with the Viz showing up, really made that work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's something that I talked about with Viz recently. The V9S has gone through 2 sets of nerfs now this season, and it still clearly is a very viable, very usable pick. Seeing a lot of people stick on that V9 because it just does so much damage, and it really is the light killer, especially with that headshot multiplier. And they were backed into a corner, and truthfully, I didn't like how they took that fight. Where they were hiding, because once they were found, they ended up taking a ton of damage from that RPG, and then Jericho was able to get in there. They were able to get a pick, but they let him reset, and ultimately the V9S was able to output enough damage to clutch that. And wow, it was close. I mean, it literally came down to a singular bullet, and Viz ended up coming out on top of that one. But again, I don't think that there's much to nitpick about how Ignite played that. They still played super well. All three of them, Jericho, Dunn, and Reaper, they played out of their minds, but at the end of the day, it really did come down to a single bullet.
Yeah, and honestly, those are some of the most intense games that you can really witness. There is games that kind of come down to not whether or not a team has made a severe misplay or even just a couple of minor misplays. Both of those teams played really well and to the best of their abilities there, and it actually really came down to individual skill, which is kind of funny in a way, where you really have the lowest level of play is kind of individual skill. You're playing in those bronze lobbies, you're winning off of skill, you're not winning off of team coordination. But as you go up, it starts to become really important to get that good team coordination. And then you get to a level like this where you can kind of have games happen where both teams have such good team coordination that it kind of comes back onto individual skill. Kind of comes full circle with that, which is something that is just so incredible to see. Especially in that 3v3 environment where it's a little bit more skill based, a little bit less chaos based. So it's just games like this, these first person shooters like this with these strategy elements are just absolutely just fascinating. They're just so interesting to just the level of gameplay and strategies just played across these PvP environments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at our teams that are doing well tonight, and they are teams that have chemistry. We've talked about some substitutes, but Viz and Jimbo play together quite a bit outside of it, and they're able to work Rice into that comp really well. They've really kind of hit their stride. Ignite is playing super well. Like you mentioned, I mean, that this is all about teams. The teamwork, and it does boil down to individual skill. Hitting your shots, taking the right angles, but it also comes down to the macro strategy. I mean, if you're not playing these fights, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're funneling yourself into a bad position and everybody's getting RPG'd and killed in 2 seconds, it doesn't matter how good your individual gun skill is if you're not taking the fights correctly. So that's been a big part of like who's winning the fights, who's getting that opening damage, who's playing the dome at the right time, who's healing versus shooting and when they're doing it. I mean, it's all coming into play, and it's falling on these individual players to play together as a team and make it work. And I've just seen some really good team play tonight, and it's been fascinating to watch the strategy.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to see the strategy as it develops from these teams, and even as these teams continue to get to know each other. I mean, it's a little bit difficult when you have so many subs in a match to get to know who the players are and how they play. Wow, what an incredible quick pick coming from AO Koi. Yeah. Able to get the huge frag onto Grazi, but as I continue forward, yeah, it's just incredible to see. And so they will just the counterplay that could possibly happen, and it's definitely a pleasure to watch. Jump pad coming through from Winshu, trying to see if he can get a frag onto Just Angel. Not able to get enough damage, unfortunately. Metro is low HP as well. They really kind of try and claw themselves back in this fight because they are down a player. Winshu is jumping in, getting jumped on here. Fortunately, down he goes to Kip, and now Metro is the last member on his team. He's looking to see if he can win that fight. Unfortunately, he cannot, and that is going to be a team wipe that is going off from onto Pata, as well as ZND, who did lose that first fight as well, and that is going to be your first cash out started here from Admin. And the second one, of course, not far behind, is Steppers.
Yeah, and we've got Steppers back in the lobby. There's some heavy hitters, and they were able to make some pretty quick work of them over to get the plug on A. And we have Z&D spawning on this backside here. Curious to see how they take this fight, but it looks like Big One actually has information already. They're going to pad up, and they're going to be right in the view of Ball Munched, but he gets hit by the revolver, trading out some damage on Shadow as well. You know, you'll often look at Lights, shooting at Lights, trying to get that early pick and waste the defib if possible. But Big is getting ready, looking for that RPG, and Arekis is rotating with him. They know they're on the steps, and they're going to take this fight early. Great dash, but Dig is able to back out a little bit. Big damage from the Lewis gun, and a huge RPG, but it doesn't seem to connect, actually, funny enough. Shadow is able to open with a pick, though. He gets traded out instantly. Digtron is only 1 health, and they are actually going to win that fight. Evade and Zooks are going to get the cleanup damage. So, really interesting fight there. I feel like if Digtron's RPG connected, that fight goes differently, but it looked like it was center mass, but it didn't seem to do any damage.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate to see. I mean, it definitely looked like that fight was about to go the way of Admin, but unfortunately they just weren't able to maybe hit a couple of those crucial shots. That RPG was very important. You really got to get that early RPG damage. They're jumping right back in here to try and get this fight once again, but this asynchronous fighting is going to be really difficult, especially when you have that SA-1216 against that Lewis gun, because that SA-1216 gets in close range, and now you're down to 3 bars and getting pressured by the entire team, but so is Evade down to low HP. Areki's Ball Munch able to get both those frags there onto Zooks and Evade. Last member of the team is not going to be able to get anywhere near enough damage, especially when they go down to the last member there, and Digtron just taking so much damage and so much heals at the very end is actually crazy.
Yeah, they were able to get that wipe onto Steppers. You know, they may have had time to force if Metro was able to get that pick onto Koi, but Koi lives on a bar of health and goos him off, buys just enough time from his team. It does end up going down in the end, but that was actually perfect goo play from Koi. If he goes down there, they could have lost that box. But they're going to get the tap over here. Digtron is climbing up, knows that they're in the alley, reloading this RPG, and Evade, looks like they're probably going to take a different angle here, but Zooks is going to get a pick with the revolver onto Ball Munch. Digtron's going to land an RPG, get Evade down to half.
Down goes Admin. It looks like Admin's going to lose that fight, unfortunately, again, to ZND. ZND look like they're getting more and more comfortable in their team play, but we're going to jump on over towards this cash-out fight that actually hasn't even started because it was glitched away. Grazi had that TP set up, but it did get glitched. Great high ground play from Kip Kip, able to help his teammate Koi down to 1 bar. He's going to do that pressure, great pressure here onto Metro, usually able to win that fight. Going against Graziv as well. Graziv getting insta, not able to do very much at all as a light. That definitely is a debilitating feeling when you have no util and you're on 75 HP. And it looks like the plug is going to go through, but they're immediately pressured here by everyone on Admin team who have respawned. They're back and they're ready to see if they can go for this fight. There's already a glitch grenade coming through here onto that C4, and they're going to blow it up. They're not interested in letting a drop happen, and they're not going to let it happen at all. They're going to throw that smoke grenade. Great placement of that RPG to bring it down. Just enough to bring it down and stall for a little bit extra amount of time here. Kip Kip and Just Angel. Great frag with that C4 from Kip Kip as he's going to jump on in here to this fight. Now that they've opened it up for great damage, and down goes 1, down goes 2, and down goes 3. Wow. That might have been a 4-piece from Kip Kip. What a crazy frag kill.
Yeah, Kip Kip is playing out of his mind. I mean, that's the heavy you don't want to fight tonight. I mean, based on their performance in the first cash out, getting knocked out after being some heavy hitters, I think he's out for blood. Stepper's playing out of their mind right now, leading with nearly $20,000 and another 12 coming if they can hold this C point for the next minute. But back over to Z&D, they are playing under Pata right now, and they're looking to open this fight from an angle. They're going to pad up, but that's actually going to end in Zooks dying, but Shadow's going to get the trade, and What I'm Winshew is looking for somebody now, and Metro's decided he's going to jump up and chow Shadow, but they trade. Oh. They're going to win that fight, but it actually looks like another team is on the box.
Oh, that hurts. That really sucks to see. Z&D were able to just barely win that fight with Evade on literally like one singular health point here. But Admin were able to just play skirting around the fight and be able to bring it in there to that cash out, which is simultaneously in the open and fully protected there. They're able to start that steal when it's fully protected, and they're all the way in there. And there's really nothing that Z&D can do. They have no stall on it. They have no HP. They have no players. So that was an absolutely devious steal from Admin, and Z&D cannot be happy about that play. So now they're probably going to need to channel their anger into this fight, and it looks like they're going to be able to get what they wanted here, because that third party is starting, and Evade is not going to let up with that pressure. He's got that SA-1216. There they go. Oh, wow, bold choices here of trying to take that teleport through. Shadow on low HP, still taking that fight with that Shack 50, is able to barely survive with just inklings of HP to his name. Taking a fight with Ball Munch, is able to take his ones and win it. But neither of these boxes have been plugged yet. Zooks is punished there, taking a fight with the entirety of Steppers. And Evade goes down as well. Shadow, the last member of his team, and he doesn't have an objective to play for, unfortunately. That box does get plugged here by Steppers, and they are leading the lobby right now. So they are going to continue to keep that pressure high. And these teams are going to be forced to reset, and Pata looks like they might be interested in heading towards B. Shadow might have something to say about it. Down goes Metro. Is Shadow going to be able to bring this on over? I'm not sure. Winshew is going to get a lot of huge damage. He's able to get that teleport on through. Is Shadow going to be able to make it, especially with his team coining in here, Jax? I think Shadow's going to be able to get this plug and hold on to maybe second place.
Yeah, looks like it here, and they're going to have some time to set up, it looks like. Still a lot of activity over on A, but yeah, big damage onto Digcron and Alex. Very brawly, everybody's low. This pad play could be it. If he gets a good flank here, yeah, looks like he's going to be able to pick up one and almost two. Just Angel able to clean that up. Yeah, that was a great play by Koi. Very well played, dropping down when he took that damage and taking another angle. That fight could have gone both ways, but it looks like C&D is opening the fight on the other side too. Koi is going to be in a good position here. They've got better pacing on box too by a little bit. This could turn into a fourth party situation. Definitely looks like they could be secured for first here. Interesting to see how this plays out. But yeah, it looks like he might be coming off a coin there. Evade is low, but Zooks is able to bail him out, actually. The 1v1 right now, he's just trying to stall and make some time. And he's gonna, by the time, they're gonna be able to clean that up. But just as soon as they're able to clean that up, it looks like Kip's on the box here. They actually gave their box away. They're playing kills right now. They actually left their box. Kip's gonna get a kill somehow, and they are able to clean him up. And yeah, it actually looks like Admin is gonna come into second place. That's gonna be who our 3v3 is happening with.
Wow. So while we were chronicling that fight there with Z&D, it looked like Admin, I guess, managed to get that steal on that box, and they are going to put themselves into second place. It was practically a kill race there. There was only 3 kills worth about $1,500 to separate second and third, and it was very close to even first here. If we look here, it was just another $2,000, maybe another $1,500, $1,600 between first and second. So that game could have gone any way, especially if one of those teams had wiped there at any moment. Even wiping before getting that 18K cash out would have been devastating for those teams in second or third place. So it is really painful to see. If you're Z&D, you played the best you possibly could. You had incredible fighting there at the very end. You were able to just barely eke out that cash out, that stall. That stalling was absolutely insane from that mesh shield use from Evade. He was really stalling incredibly well there, but it just hurts to see it when you just end up with a measly third place. You're not able to just make your way into second place. There's almost nothing you can do at that point, even for the full length of those 2 minutes of that cash out.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, because it looks like Kip left to go grief, and I'm wondering if Admin just got a close spawn, or if they made that read that the chances that the grief was going to be high, and they're like, hey, maybe we can just go over and get this steal for free. Definitely a gamble either way. I was kind of expecting to see all four teams on that final box, but that's not what ended up happening at all, and it ended up working out. And like you mentioned, V, I mean, it did come down to a kill race at the end there, and it is painful. And really the moment where I think it all went wrong was when admin was able to third party Z&D on box number 2 and steal their box after they did all the fighting for them, and they still managed to only lose by $1,500. So hate to see it if you're Z&D.
Yeah, that's actually such a great point. That's a great callback there. I think that is, without even knowing it, that was the defining moment of that entire cash out, probably, because Z&D fought tooth and nail there. They were winning their fight there, but admin were able to sneak in. They were able to get that vault, that cash out flipped, and they were able to get that extra money. And especially with it only being a $1,500 gap at the end, you know, Z&D went hard in the paint trying to get as many kills as they can to eke themselves slowly higher and higher in the money. And so they got a lot of kills. They did a lot of work there, and admin just kind of coasted off of the money that they were able to earn from just snagging that cash out there. And so that is kind of the difference between clawing tooth and nail and really just kind of coasting.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, looking at the scoreboard, admin definitely didn't look like they deserved to win on paper compared to Z&D. I mean, Z&D had 20 kills. Admin didn't even break 10 as a team, and they're able to slip in because they played the macro a little bit better. You know, that's what you can love about the finals and what you can hate about the finals, is that sometimes brawling and winning your fights isn't enough to get you past, because, you know, if a team is able to sneak in and steal your box, then, you know, not much you can do about that. So going into the 3v3 now, though, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys fight as well. I know Alex and Digcron, you know, they play Arekis. They play quite a lot together, so there could be some good chemistry here between them and Ball Munch. And I know Kip, Just Angel, and Koi also play together a ton. So this is going to be super brawly, and I'm really excited to see how this plays out.
I definitely agree with you there. I'm very excited to see how this plays out. And it looks like it's already beginning to play out. A couple of red barrels knocking them off of height there. Steppers losing that height advantage, but they're just not, nobody's interested in opening this vault just yet. Digcron, unfortunately, wasting a winch there, which is going to maybe punish him here in the future, but he is running that BFR, which is a very bold pick here. He's able to hit Just Angel down to low HP, able to keep that pressure high. They are able to pressure them off of the high ground, but it looks like Steppers are interested in taking that jump pad to bring themselves back into this fight. Nobody's gotten taken down yet. There's been no picks across the board, just a lot of damage and a lot of hiding as this fight continues to rage on, and they're just waiting to see if they can get that first pick, because I think once that first pick comes through, there's going to be a lot of damage. Kip's jumping right in. There's Digcron down to low HP, and there's the RPG. That's the first pick they were looking for. And now Kip is taking low on HP. They got to be careful not to get overly aggressive, because down goes Koi to Ball Munch LH1, and Kip is on 3 bars. He's getting tagged once again. Arekis jumps in there, looking to see if he can clean that up. He is able to take that frag. And now a little bit of a reset here coming forward on Steppers, but they are on the back foot. This is a 3v2 as this fight continues to rage on. This vault hasn't been open. This is simultaneously a really important and also not important fight at the same time for the tempo. As they're able to fully get a reset, Kip is 10 seconds on that coin. They might be able to stall for it or get the res off. AO Koi is on half HP. Just Angel is able to heal right back up. There is the res, and there is a great amount of damage from Digcron. He is getting healed up. He's able to win that fight in close range, and they are able to get that wipe. That is so crucial with the BFR. You need to hit your shots in close range if you're going to have a chance of even thinking about going against an SA-12-16 Jax. That was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really interesting to see too, because Dig is bringing that BFR, like you mentioned, and you know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily an off-meta pick, but it's certainly not a common pick, knowing that Kip is going to be on that SA-12. So It's interesting too. We're seeing another F car in a final round from Arekis. So I think maybe because Arekis wanted to play F car, it's nice to have that spray if Dig is going to be on BFR. So it's kind of like different compared to our usual repeater SA12, and we'll have to see how that plays out. They got the plug though. Looks like they're looking for a way to cross. This is going to be challenging. I think with the right play here, Ball Munch is going to be able to actually hold them with this LH1 on top of glass.
That is a huge glitch. They had the teleport set up. Just Angel had that teleport set up ready to bring his team across, and it looked like Kip was not too excited about taking that teleport on through, but they were able to get that one glitch grenade pulled out from Ball Munch. Remember, there are 2 with the most recent patch, so with that long cooldown, he's going to go try and play that long range. That LH1 excels at long range, but that absolute decimation coming from that V9S, I mean, that's why this V9S is still in meta. It wins at that same range that the LH1 would normally be dominating at right now, which is absolutely insane to see. Digcron getting pressured super heavily. He gets taken down by his own C4. He does attempt to do some form of C4 play, and now they're down to just Arekis here, and Arekis is going to have a hell of a battle here to defend this cash out, and I'm not sure if he's even going to bother with this defense because he has to wait for the rest of his team to come back and go for this final attempt at flipping this cash out back into their advantage.
Yeah, it looked like they were able to push Digcron like all the way out into the other building, and when he died over there, I mean, that was pretty much all she wrote. Interesting to see how they played that, especially with Just Angel getting the pick, but we're already fighting again, and Alex is dropping low. They're coming in off the coins. They're not going to have time to force this box, but they are looking to get a wipe here to get good pacing. It looks like they are going to try to force, though. They are riding this box. Is he going to be able to hold it? Almost. Closer than I would have expected, honestly, but Ball Munch is going to perhaps just try to go for a wipe here and just reset. Yeah, really interesting fight on the first box. Yeah, they did end up having time for that, and honestly, had they not been prepared for it on the side of Steppers, they easily could have stolen that, even though there was only 7 seconds left when they hopped on.
Yeah, I definitely think so. If Steppers weren't ready for that steal, then they could have easily lost that. I mean, I was seeing Digcron using, all of his util to almost perfection there. He used everything to the maximum he could possibly use. He didn't throw that dome down until it dropped. He got the dome down after the steal had already started for a little bit, so it could last for as long as possible. He got the winch on the first player jumping in, trying to stop the steal, and he even stalled, and he even continued to body block throughout all of that. But unfortunately, that just isn't enough, especially if you don't have your heals able to hit enough H+ healing onto your medium. It's a hard ask. But Kip immediately caught out here as this box had been opened already. Caught out by himself, gets taken down by Digcron and Arekis. And now the remaining players are going to be stuck fighting. Digcron with a great winch in the air, unfortunately not able to capitalize on it. Arekis does go down to Just Angel, and they are able to reset here. Just Angel on half HP, trying to get some shots off, able to get Digcron to 1 HP. That's going to put a ton of pressure onto Digcron, as Ball Munch takes this fight with Aokoi. Is able to win that at that range, which is absolutely incredible, but Just Angel able to win with that superior heals, the superior resetting heals, and he's going to be able to get that res off for his teammate Aokoi, and the coin coming through from Kip is going to give them a good reset, and it looks like Vault 2 has been brought as far away as they could possibly manage with the situation they had with them as they wait for Digcron to get that res off, or to get that coin off.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking a wide wrap, but they could potentially get cut off here. Smart play by Ball Munch, trying to see where they're going. He didn't want to give away his position yet with the gateway, but it looks like he didn't quite make the right read, because they're going to C and not B. They're moving up now, and as he takes the zipline, he's going to place some of this information, but he's going to get hit by a repeater. Dropping off, he has to play his regen, as Alex has also taken a little bit of damage. So he's going to have to wrap around, and he's trying to set up a crossfire here, but Kip is not going to give him anything. They're wanting to play in these close proximity. With the fact that they're using Poke, it looks like They're gonna take a lot of damage though. Just Angel's gonna get a pick onto Digcon. Alex is able to reset Dig though. And Ball Munch is on top. He could win this fight for them here. Both weak. Wow. He's gonna do it.
That fight went down to the wire there. Both members that were left alive on admin were down to less than 2 bars just about. Every player on those teams were playing to the max they possibly could. They were utilizing their util, they were utilizing the angles as well as they could to benefit them in the best way they could. But unfortunately, somebody's going to have to lose in that fight, and it looked like that Steppers were on the back half of that loss. Now they're going to go for this. They do have one final attempt here at this field. There is the TP. There is a winch to retaliate, and now Kip is jumping in. He's able to get a first frag onto Ball Munch. Digcron's down to low HP, so is Kip. Areki's the last member on this team. I don't know if he's going to be able to stall this for much longer. He's down to 2 bars. He has to run away. He doesn't have anything but his teammate. He's able to get that revive off, and unfortunately he's going to go down, and that flip is going to go to Steppers, and there is basically the game completed. Down goes Digcron. That's the wipe, and that is going to be your map to Steppers. They're going to bring that back in convincing fashion on the last attempt of a steal.
Yeah, you know, I thought admin really had that there, but I don't think it was the right play to play on the roof there. There wasn't much time on box, and they needed to play drop there. You know, they were able to set up an excellent gate pad. Just Angel threw that gate perfectly for Kip to open up with an RPG, and you'll actually notice he ran past Digcron and killed the light, because I think he was maybe trying to mitigate some of the pocket heals, and he literally killed him instantly with the burst damage of that SA-12, and that's really where the fight was over, because it looked like they were trading heals back and forth, but Kip actually just said, hey, you know, I'm going to deal with that heal, and, you know, he just walked right past him and killed both healers. So, unfortunate for admin there. You know, it looked like they had that, but I just don't think Steppers could have played that better. They pushed that perfectly.
Absolutely. Steppers definitely stepped up in that last fight there, and they really showed up there. I really think both teams played exceptionally well for just about all of that entire game. There was a ton of team fights that did go down in that entire game of only 2 boxes. And I really do agree with your a point about how I really do think that, oh gosh, admin? Is this admin?
Yes, admin.
I'm tripping, man. I'm tripping, man. Pardon me.
Good.
Okay, little CNS in the brain. I'm gonna need to get Via in here to clear out my bad thoughts here. But I do think admin did drop the ball just a little bit there in that last fight. Playing on that roof was pretty good for pressure, but I think they needed to get out so much quicker. They needed to play a little bit slower. They needed to go for that stealth strat, to play for that drop, because they have so many floors available to drop it down, that I think that would have secured them that box so that they could have moved forward and played to another point. But overall was just absolutely incredible fight from both teams throughout the entirety of that 3v3. That was definitely exceptional to watch.
Yeah, I think it just came down to maybe a little bit of discombobulation between the team fight on the first box and then last box. Obviously, you know, I think they probably should have just played drop there. But other than that, I mean, you know, they played phenomenally well. Everybody's playing out of their minds tonight. You know, admin definitely could have had that. And I think we're seeing, you know, it's not easy to make the call on who's going to win any of these cash outs, who's going to win any of these 3v3s, because everybody is so close in skill level that, you know, it could be anybody's game at any point.
Absolutely. It could definitely be anyone's game. And I think it remains to be seen who will hold on to the title here for week 2, who's going to be able to hold on to the most amount of points here. And the only way to find out is to move forward to Heat 3. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick little break, and we will see you all after the break. Welcome back to Moolah Mondays, everyone. Uh-oh, looks like Jax is off the cam for a moment here. That's a little unfortunate, but don't worry. He'll be back on shortly. Don't you worry. He will be back. He is around. We have a beautiful Heat 3 setup here. We have a little bit of things happening in the back end, a little bit of technical difficulties, a little bit of production difficulties, but if you bear with us, we'll bear with you guys, and we will continue to have a beautiful couple of matches here as we make our way into Heat 3 onto beautiful Las Vegas Stadium here today. We are going to be going into the upper bracket here, the high bracket here with four big teams here. We've got WMD, who have been really showing up today. We've got Ignite, who have a little bit more to prove here. They did lose that 3v3 in Heat 2, but I know that they are a dominant team. We've got Steppers, who really proved that they were a dominant team last week and last Playday here, but they are going to continue to fight for it. They were in that lower bracket there, the second Heat. And then we've got Glitch, of course, who have been proving really strong team, really dominant here in these lobbies today. So we've got a lot of good teams here on the line here as we move on in to this game of Las Vegas. This is nice. Las Vegas Vault 2 already open here by Glitch, but Ignite and Steppers are going to be taking a look here. Ignite is going to post up on this high ground. Looking around. No contact made just yet. We're going to go ahead and take a look over at the fight on Vault 2 as contact has already been made. Jump pad coming through here from WMD. They're going to continue to jump in and get into that fight. That DMAT is proving to be useful already when they go against this team of Glitch. As they jump in, they're going to go for the trades. Trades go down, and at the end of it all, with the dust settling, WMD does unfortunately lose that fight just barely, but with a comfortable margin for Glitch. In the meanwhile, however, it looks like Steppers have actually managed to get that plug on A. Even in the midst of all of this fighting with Ignite, it looks like they were able to kite the high ground versus the low ground. They were able to take their choices accordingly here. And now they're continually fighting here. None of these teams have lost a player even yet. Not even a single kill on the board for either of these teams. They're fighting it out slowly, even while the point continues to move forward, which is a necessity in cash out like this. But jumping in is Ignite. They're going to go in there. Dawn getting the first frag onto Koi. The second one coming down. I Love Rice actually jumping in. We've actually got a third party from WMD. They're going to jump in, and they're going to cause a lot of problems here for Ignite, as well as Steppers, who do unfortunately go down, but they do have 15 seconds on that revive, and that cash out is owned in their favor. So there's a big chance of success for them to hold on to that point. Unfortunately, Ignite wiped a little bit too quick, and so even though they're going to spawn in 2 seconds, they aren't going to hold on to that cash out for very long. And in fact, it looks... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're all good. Yeah, no, it looks like they're able to get the flip there. Yeah, Rice was able to pick up that kill on that light, and that was able to finish the fight after Jimbo got that pick. And there isn't too much time on this box, but it does look like Steppers is going to come and try to force this box. Even though there's only about 20 seconds left, it looks like they're looking and potentially going to be forcing here.
Going for a steal attempt is going to be Steppers. They're going to get that started, and Aokoi on 1 HP. Almost able to get that flip. It was so close. It was so millimeters away from that flip going into the favor of Steppers. It was a really valiant attempt there at the very end. Hacho does go down on the other side of the map, and that steal is actually going to flip on over towards the benefit of Ignite. And it looks like Ignite, even though they lost that wipe on A, they've managed to bring it back and bring themselves back into this fight here on B, getting that other early cash out.
Yeah, I mean, those were crazy fights. It looked like Steppers was going to get that for a second, but they were able to get the flip, and then on the other side, Ignite getting the flip. So WMD in the lead here with a little bit over $13,000, with Ignite closely following. Rice is rotating with WMD on top of this D building, and they may have some angles here. They're going to try to cut off steppers and prevent them from getting this plug. This is a huge fight here. If WMD is able to steal this plug, they're going to be in a very healthy lead. But they might just end up running this box all the way under. Yep, it's being gated under. And WMD's moving in. And they are able to get the plug. And they're fighting a huge glitch. Kip taking a ton of damage here. Is he going to go down? Great dome, though, and then a bunch of damage onto Viz. Able to do a bunch of damage on Rice, too, but Rice is able to win. Just Angel gets the trade on Viz, though, and Rice is going to get the defib, and it looks like they're actually going to come out on top. Huge fight. What a fight, and they're going to get that flip over here on D, and they do have slightly better pacing on this box.
Yeah, that was an intense fight coming forth on both those teams there. They were getting really close there. A lot of good damage. Unfortunately, Kip missing that first plug did put him in a little bit of a bad position, and he did have to get a little closer and was forced to play a little bit more defensive. That glitch grenade pushed him forward. But enough about that. We've got a fight happening over here on C. It's a lot of damage coming out between Dawn, both mediums, in fact. And Dawn does finally go down. Jericho as well is going down, but that trade is following Uvinity getting taken down as well. And so now Reaper is in a possible 1v3, taking a little bit of damage from who knows where, possibly AO Koi all the way across the map. So that is really punishing here for Ignite to lose that fight, especially with the third party to come in. But especially, this is a little bit of a deja vu moment almost, except this time Ignite hold the box, and they're going to lose that flip immediately to Glitch, who Steppers seem to have kind of let them take that steal in comfort. And Dawn's going to jump right back in, and it looks like Ignite is not done with this cash out. They want it back. They got the plug. They want to continue to hold on to this point. But I Love Rice, with that DMAT, with that F-car so far away, is continuing to put pressure because they have nobody even close to their cash out. So they're going to continue to keep that pressure high. As his cash out's down to its final 30 seconds, Ignite recognizes, and they know that they need to start bringing this cash out down. They've got to stop any semblance of a drop. Kip is up and above. He's throwing his C4 down. It bounced off. It doesn't stop enough. The heals are trying to come through. Unfortunately, that laser beam just does so much damage. It's not even funny. Kip is able to destroy with that SA-1216. He does get taken down to lower HP, but he's defending a cash out that isn't even his, and Glitch is going to be able to hold on to that point in convincing fashion. And I think that the strategy employed there was probably to make sure that the team who was least likely to get away with the most amount of points there is going to hold on to that cash out at the van. That's my hope and my analysis there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, V. That's exactly right, and that's exactly what they were thinking. And, you know, very surprising. You know, Steppers, they got the plug, but they lost the box, and WMD got that box essentially for free after winning one fight. And so that's going to put them in a good place here. They've got about a $10,000 lead, and they're going to fight Glitch here, it looks like, for 6. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to try to hold this or get a plug, or, you know, what exactly the strategy is here. But it looks like Hacho's running a reverse. He's going to go down to 1 health, but getting back through. Jimbo's weak, though. 2 bars, but Rice is going to pick that up. Uvinity's going to get a trade on Viz. 6 is still in the room. They're just trying to kill time here. Uvinity's going to get the defib onto Hacho. He's going to take the zip over to 6, but it looks like WMD's actually flipped under. They're going to go directly to the box. They may just try to hold this from getting plugged at all. Happening on the other side of the map. Oh, my bad, V, go ahead.
No. Totally good with you at all. It's totally a great point. I don't think they want this plugged, especially being the team who has the most money right now. But these trades are continuing to come forward, and both these teams have only 2 players left. And this point gets closer and closer, and just one C4 and one RPG is going to change the fact whether or not this cash out is going to get plugged from Tank Hero or from Uvinity. They are all up. Viz is going to do his best to try and do something to stop this cash out, and they haven't blown this point down yet. There's still 40 seconds left, and it looks like Hacho is going to opt to bring himself through that vent, and they actually get the plug. And so now it's going to be a little bit harder for WMD. They were able to get that reset, but they're going to continue to eke on these fights. They're going to keep pushing. Viz, incredible 2-piece there, and now it's just down to Uvinity and Tank Hero. They were able to get that revive. They're going to continue to try and keep that pressure high as they're low on HP. That flip does come through. Uvinity and Tank Hero probably waiting for their teammate to coin. There it is, the coin from Hacho. But I want to flip on over to the other side of the map here because we've got a cash out that's ending much sooner. And these teams are fighting for it because we have steppers who are actually at the bottom of this lobby as far as cash money goes. So it's very surprising to see that because they are definitely a hard-hitting team and they're able to get a lot of good damage onto Ignite. There's only a couple seconds left on this cash out. They're going to have to go for it. Reaper, RPG is misplaced. A great dump. Is he going to be able to get enough damage? He is! Incredible shots. Viz, take us away with the other side of the map.
Yeah, it looks like they're able to get a wipe here, and it looks like we're gonna have a rematch actually from the last 3v3 between Ignite and WMD. All they have to do is kill 15 seconds here, and Steppers is not close enough to have a real attempt at this. Wow. And this is over. Well, WMD is gonna win.
Tell you what, I saw there was enough time left on me. I was thinking surely there was a fight happening, but clearly I was wrong. The wipe had already happened earlier, and it looks like WMD have secured themselves a wonderful spot. They tried to stop that plug, but it didn't even matter even if it was plugged because they were able to hold on to that box in convincing fashion. And so very excited to see what this fight happens going forth for this 3v3 in this upper bracket, Jax.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a little bit confused as you were as well because it got really hectic over there with Steppers forcing, and I didn't realize that they had actually wiped Glitch at the same time. Yeah, when we flipped back, I was kind of expecting there to be some fighting, and they were done already. So, yeah, I'm actually very excited to see this rematch, especially on Vegas. It's going to be really interesting to see who comes out on top because I know we've got a little bit of a rivalry going on here, and both teams are out for blood. So, very excited to watch that.
Yeah, both these teams are out for blood. It definitely seems like these guys really want it. That last 3v3 was absolutely exquisite to watch. So I know that this next 3v3 is going to be just as absolutely phenomenal of gameplay from both sides here. Both these teams are going to be bringing it their all, and they are dying to win this 3v3 that is going to be coming up here. So I'm very excited to see as they move into this 3v3 how they're going to choose to fight it because they've already fought each other once. This is going to be a rematch here within just one heat's worth of battles here. I'm just double checking to make sure I was correct there. Yes, that was Heat 2 that they fought each other once. So they should be pretty familiar with their strategies a little bit more. But, when we were analyzing that last 3v3, we pointed out all 3 points kind of fought, all 3 cash outs fought differently. So there's a very real chance that they aren't going to be able to get a good enough read on each other to be able to pick out the strategies needed to win these cash out fights.
Yeah, and I will mention that Vegas is a much different map than Fangway. So the way that these fights are going to play out is going to not really reminisce, anything that happened in Fangway. I think that they're probably going to stick on same loadouts that we saw, but a lot of the ways that you rotate and you approach this map is very different. So going to be interesting to see how that plays out versus Fangway because this is a much tighter map. There's not a lot of very open lines of sight. There's a lot of moving between buildings, and then up on metal is probably you can see almost the entire map from one central point here. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of takes control of that metal zone, where the boxes are going to be, and how people are going to be fighting around these different zones.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I am very excited. I can't overstate my excitement. I'm very excited to get this game underway when it happens shortly, because this is going to be a very exciting. This is probably going to be one of our most exciting matches of the night. Being that we're in Heat 3, being we're at the end of the night. I mean, these teams have kind of hashed each other out. The filter has kind of come through. We have had 3 full heats worth of points to divvy out, and so the teams at the top here are the cream of the crop for the night. And I want to emphasize for the night because even the teams in the bottom bracket are definitely not bad teams. It just may be that they're not playing as well tonight. But these are the best teams we've got tonight. And these are the best 2 teams we've got out of the best 4 teams we've got tonight. So these teams are going to be fighting, and they're going to be fighting hard. And so I'm very excited to see how well these guys are able to fight each other in this match going forward.
Yeah, V, this entire night has culminated into this moment right here. You know, both teams have shown a lot of dominance in their respective brackets and lobbies. So, you know, Ignite's been playing out of their mind. W&D, they've been playing out of their minds. And, you know, there's only really one way to settle it here, and that's this final match of this Moolah Monday.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, that'll be our final match for our top bracket. It won't be our final match for our lower bracket if that's what you mean there.
Yeah, definitely.
So very excited to get this underway. We're just waiting on a couple of these players here to make sure that they're readied up before we get underway. And it looks like our match is finally getting underway. And yeah.
Yep, looks like we're starting up here. So momentarily, just stand by with us while we wait for everything to be ready to go.
Yeah. Oh man. So this is going to be Las Vegas Sandstorm, which is going to be a crazy pull here for a 3v3. Something that you maybe aren't normally expecting to see. Sandstorm is definitely an interesting longer range map. It'll be interesting to see what these players choose in terms of guns and maybe even in terms of specs, specializations here. I think both Winch and Mesh Shield can have a lot of good use in their specializations in the fight, but I really think that the weapon choice is going to be a big difference here. I don't expect to see SA-1216 to be pulled out here, but I could be proven wrong. So I can only guess, but we're jumping into this match finally, and it's getting started.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see both of our lights on ARN here. Sandstorm lends itself to ARN pretty well. I'm pretty sure that's what Jericho picked. I'm curious to see if Viz is on that, though. It looks like he actually stuck V9S, though, and they're gonna open up. With a pick, and they're running away with the body. So Jimbo is gonna be resetting. They just got the tap, so probably slow playing this a little bit. Jericho kind of playing height here, and it looks like they're shooting for maybe a plug onto B, but he's actually going to get shot, and Jimbo has their position revealed, so they might be wrapping under here, which is exactly what they're doing, and they're slow playing it. See the patience with this team. They're actually trying to play off of a glitch barrel. They want them to come and grab it so that they can maybe get a free kill or a free wipe here. Very interesting strategy here. No, but they end up grabbing the box, and now it looks like they're headed on their way to A.
Yeah, looks like that high ground is going to continue to be posted up here from WMD. They do have clear sightline of this cash out. It could be blocked if they bring it down, if Ignite choose to bring that elevator down. But they instead do get spotted. They are getting spotted out. That low ground is continuing to be played by Ignite. Jericho's just kind of baiting out just a little bit, making sure that they're still spotted out on that high ground, while Dawn and Reaper try and take a different position, slowly just crawling up the stairs, so slow. Choosing to crouch, of all things, is something interesting that I'm always curious to find when people choose to crouch instead of slow walk, because as far as I'm aware, it's about the same as far as quietness or loudness. So I think crouching is just a little bit slower. But they're about ready to explode here. It looks like Jericho, or Ignite, is going to jump in with that RPG. Unfortunately, not able to get as much damage as they'd like, and Dawn is picked out by himself, and now Reaper's in a really bad spot, but Jericho's here to save the day, to jump in, gets that first frag, gets that second frag, and now Reaper's going to look to clean this up in an incredible gameplay coming forth from Ignite. They jumped in there. Dawn lost their life very quickly, but they were able to bring it right back once Jericho was able to get into the mix. That was some great gameplay, Jax.
Yeah, that was that was great recovery there, honestly. You know, Viz ended up getting that pick, but you know, Reaper had the off angle. He was able to clean up and or I'm sorry, Reaper had a flank, and then Jericho had that off angle where Jericho was able to pick up a couple of kills there, clean up the damage, and Reaper with that flank was able to kill Jimbo, and they're gonna get the plug. And this is not a position that I want to be in if I'm WMD. This is a very, very easy hold, especially having the ARN. This is where this gun is going to shine. But it does actually look like Jimbo and Viz were able to get across, but the gateway was glitched, and Rice is actually stuck back there. It's curious to see how they're going to play this. I think Viz and Jimbo are trying to work up on the backside, and they'll probably have Rice poke and distract, but not the position you want to be in. Rice is going to get across with a jump pad, though, but she had to waste pad utility, which is really important here. I bet you they're going to end up playing drop here on Garage if they are able to get a pick here, but they're sneaking their way up, shooting out the pad, and I don't think that they know that they're directly under them. They're probably waiting for them to play drop, but again, patience is going to win the race here. Ignite wrapping around the side, and they've actually flipped the height here. This could be good for WMD.
Yeah, that's some incredible map positioning that we just kind of watched there. A lot of map control being held on that high ground from Ignite. A steal attempt is coming through on Jimbo, unfortunately forced off of it, but again, that pressure just slowly pushing Ignite off the map control that they had, taking as long as possible to stall. Jimbo goes down here. Jericho taking a lot of damage from Rice. Rice missing that RPG barely with her life. And down goes Viz, and now Rice is the last member on this team. It's not looking likely. Looking to take this one, unfortunately not able to win that. But that is the high-level finals that I really love to see, is you see these teams, they're not immediately fighting into some crazy spot. They're trying to hold on to this map control. The map control actually has meaning in a 3v3 of this caliber, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. Map control is something that's so incredible to watch as these teams give and take and push and prod to kind of make their way through and kind of hold on to different parts of this map. You really don't see that until you get to a level about as high as this, because these teams just don't really respect map control, and they either get absolutely dominated or they just win off of sheer like single player skill. And so it's really a pleasure to watch as these teams continue to move forward in their map control domination attempting in the game.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how all of that time, them trying to flip the height, ended up being their demise. But we're now back in a fight. Jericho's actually going to get picked. Viz is going to clean him up. Jimbo's half, though. Dawn is taking some damage as well here. Reaper is looking. He's waiting, and he's playing patiently because he needs to reset this. And he knows that he can't reveal his position. They're going to sit on B, and they're going to take their time here. The box was not moved yet, and he's holding this off angle, though, trying to catch Viz, but Viz being patient behind the goo. He's actually going to use teleport util here, waiting for his full team to take this as well, being very smart about how they approach this, but Rice walks into a C4. Viz is going to get a bad bounce, but he's going to get the plug anyways, and they're able to reset, they're able to heal, and they're able to take their time here, but no dome util, and they're going to get some crazy shots out of the air. Dawn picking Rice, and then shooting Jimbo, hitting him as well and taking him down, leaving Viz in a 1v2. They're going to get the reset here, and Viz is going to have to play life. They're going to have to play coin here. He cannot stall this by himself. He does not have the util or the abilities. So he's going to play down low and wait for his teammates to come off of coin here while Ignite gets the flip.
So there is your flip there. There's the coins coming out from both Jimbo and Rice, as this could possibly be the last attempt that they are going to get. WMD is going to have one more try here to get this flip. This high ground is being held by Ignite, but of course WMD is no strangers to be playing low ground, especially coming off of the back of that last cash out. They're going to be very familiar with the strategies here. Nobody has been spotted out yet. It looks like they're just pinging to see if they can identify without being able to have sight lines. They probably hear them now. Jericho's probably relaying that information on to where WMD is. They try to do a winch. An interesting jump pad brings it all the way up to max height. It's going to get dematted down and rematted, but the remat isn't sufficient. and they're going to be dropped down. Jimbo to 2 bars. There's only 30 seconds left on this cash out. They just need 6 seconds to get that steal off. But down goes Jimbo to Jericho's ARN, and now this is going to be a tough fight here. Viz is going to have to get greedy. He's going to have to look for this frag, especially with Rice on his side. They're looking around. They're trying to see if they can win this fight. There's only a couple seconds left. Dawn is taken to low HP, but the stall is immense, and it might be too much, and there's not enough time on the board for the steal, and an incredible defensive hold from Ignite to win them the round.
Wow, Ignite played that perfectly, and that was a very, very decisive cash out. It was kind of close in the beginning, but honestly, that second box just really went in the favor of Ignite. They took the fights really well, really smart kiting on the first box. I tried to mention a little bit how Viz was trying to flip the height with Jimbo and Rice, but unfortunately, all of that time, Crouch walking up there only gave them one shot at the box, and once their position was revealed, they were able to flip Garage, and they didn't even have to fight, and it was an interesting call to not take that fight, because honestly, that was very different than a lot of the cash outs we've been watching and the 3v3s we've been watching tonight, V. There wasn't a lot of fighting, honestly. There was a lot of just like positioning and like trying to like shift who controls what area and what zone of the map. And yeah, I mean, it was very decisive in Ignite's favor, and I think that they just overall played that better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that losing that first 3v3 in Heat 2 must have really ignite is not the correct word there. I was really trying to play into that. Ignited a fire in their hearts and in their minds, because they really wanted that. I think they fought like they wanted that, and they played the hell out of this cash out, or out of this 3v3 here, and they really showed up, and they proceeded to be pretty decisive in this gameplay. I really was it was a pleasure to watch the map control kind of shift back and forth, but I mean, there's a big chance that WMD started playing a little bit too passive. They might have gotten a little bit too scared to really get the pressure in on to Ignite. So really unfortunate to see they just couldn't really scrap together in those brawls when they needed to be there. And Ignite just really showed some serious masterclass fighting in this game, in this fight, in this match here. So it was like absolutely incredible work there. And it was absolutely fantastic. It's just to
Yeah,
see that.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, V. It looked like they were just too nervous, honestly, to take the fights in the way that they were taking them on Fangway. A lot of time just like playing for position, but unfortunately, they kind of stalled themselves out, and it didn't end up working out in their favor. So, unfortunately for WMD, they're going to take the loss on that one. But their scoring 3v3s tonight is all tied up. Ignite just played that better, and yeah, I mean they took it home for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They really showed up. That was just absolutely incredible. But looking forward, we have just a couple of matches ahead of us here, and I'm very excited to see our final 2 games. I know this is going to be our final 2 games on the lower bracket here. These are going to be your 4 lower bracket teams. Who have kind of ended up settling out a little bit towards the bottom this week. But by no means does that mean this game will be boring. Not even a little bit. These teams are all really good teams in their own right, and I think that they still have promise in trying to make their way in to get a little bit extra points in this lower bracket here, to make their way into that winners battle of the 3v3 at the end here, and to win that to get even more points. So very excited to see that. Looking forward here, so that is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to that in the coming future here shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got Team Glorp subbing in for Pada. So this is going to be interesting too, dynamic that we haven't seen yet tonight. So yeah, we've kind of pegged, what a lot of the team strategies, what their comp looks like. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to shake things up, having a new team in this side of the bracket.
Yeah, that's going to be very exciting. And Absolutely. I'm actually looking very forward to seeing some of these players play here. So we got Julio gonna be here tonight, and he is an incredible player, and he definitely has showed domination in previous games that he's played, that I have been a part of. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say that he did play, either in the qualifiers or actually in last week's play games with admin. Um, so I'm very excited to see his gameplay because he is a menace on that SA 1216. He really plays it incredibly. So I'm very excited to see how he's going to be able to what he's going to be able to bring to the table here. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting because it actually looks like Julio is subbing against his own team here. Uh, Julio did play last Monday for admin. Dig is subbing for him, and I'm sure Julio just couldn't make the first games tonight. But it looks like he'll be in and subbing now. So. Yeah, it's gonna be definitely interesting watching how those teams fight. But it looks like perhaps he might be replaced. I
wow.
scratch all of that. He's replaced.
Wow. Well, there you go. I guess I was correct in my remembrance. I was excited to see him playing in the game, but unfortunately, I think just the way that the competitive integrity works out is that it doesn't work very well if you're going to be going against your own team. You might be even intentionally throwing to give your team some extra points. So it's very valid. So it looks like we've already got a replacement for him. And so we've got 3 members on this team that I am not even very familiar with at all. So I'm very excited to get familiar with their gameplay here, in the coming game here as it gets set up. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I just can't wait to get into it here. This is going to be our final cash out of the night, and it'll be followed by our final 3v3 of the night. And then we can tally up the scores and take a look, and then we can go ahead and close out, and you guys can get some good rest.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to watch some Soul Under Construction is what we're going to get for this round of Cash Out. This is going to be, in my opinion, one of the most interesting possible map variants we could even watch. So very excited to watch this with this middle crane, and very curious to see how this is going to work out with Hospital and then big construction zone and everything in between. All the third parties, all the brawling. Definitely going to be exciting gameplay here.
Yes, it is going to be exciting gameplay, and this gameplay that is exciting is finally going to get underway as we transition on into the game because it's finally started. Here we go. Final cash out of the night has commenced.
Yeah, so we've got admin Z&D, Freelo, and our new team, Glorp. Looks like the first fight we're going to see here, Dicron is going to take a little bit of damage entering in off of that pad. And they are going to be fighting Team Glorp. They're controlling the height, but they were able to get the tap and get up there. So they definitely got a better spawn.
Yeah, that's great positioning coming from Balmus here, playing that high ground that's even higher than the high ground that is in the area here with that construction, utilizing it to the best of his ability there to really give an alternate angle to that fight for his team, and it has actually given just enough pressure for them to get that plug in, and that is going to benefit them a lot. Just a quick recap from the other side of the map, ZND did a beautifully quick wipe onto Freelo, and Freelo is actually headed back, so I'm very interested to see this cash out fight as it's about to get underway here in the middle of this map. Jump pad has been placed from Servent. He is taken down to 1 HP, and Spooky kind of caught left out to dry as well, stuck on this platform, trying to do their best to stay alive, getting a little bit of heals from Super. Super's in a great spot to help out. Unfortunately, just absolutely clanking their head on that crossbar, not able to get that jump pad to do what you want it to do, and down they go, and Super is the last member on their team. They're going to have a hell of a battle to be fought here. Evade is on low HP here, and Super is going to actually choose to go ahead and back out and get out and look for that reset and choose not to wipe, which is an interesting strategy, especially when you got $500 on the board. But I think the same thing might be happening here from Glorp, but they are able to get that res off. Jax, let's investigate this fight here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Glorp is taking the height here, but Admin is trying to flip that. 4-7 knows, and he's already backing up. He's on the revolver, and they're going to give this up. You know, they are going to drop down and potentially look to maybe force this box here, but they don't have all the time in the world, and they're going to need to coordinate their push here. But it looks like Smear's going to get a pick on Digtron, so that's actually heavy gone, and this is an excellent time to force. Arekis is dead too. Smear with the big two-piece. Almuch is on top, but he is the only person who can possibly stop them. But Zimbo's got meshed, a well-placed blitz though, and Smear is dead, so this is very possible. He just needs to get a better angle, and he might be able to do it. But Zimbo gets the flip and wins the gunfight. Wow, wow. That was very close out of ball munch. They're going to come off a coin, and Dicron's going to look for this wipe here. But as that fight ends, it looks like Z&D is going to get their money here, and they've got a massive lead right now. They've got $15,000, and Glorp is going to take a wipe, which you don't like to see if you're Glorp, because that lead is just slowly crawling away from you here. But it looks like Freelo is doing a gate pad over to Hospital, and they're going to meet Z&D crossing across the Green Bridge right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to meet up here on top of Hospital. They're looking for this fight. A great RPG to open up this engagement down to low HP. Servant is going to go down, and that heals is absolutely crucial. And so many heals coming through on both heavies to consistently get so much damage off, but Super does get taken down, unfortunately, and Spooky is going to follow very quickly. Unfortunately, they're not going to get much of a reprieve here, because even though Cash Out 6 is in this building, Shadow is going to get taken down by Smear. Glorp has arrived, and they're going to provide some Glorp to the scene as they get that free plug once they got Shadow down. However, Zimbo is getting pressured. He is down to a couple bars, and he's going to get continually pressured, and so is 4-7 to 1 bar. So is Evade. A great trade coming for Zimbo. Does go down. Evade does get taken down as well. And now we've got a great 1v1 happening there, and Zooks is able to clutch it up with that revolver that does so much damage, and he's able to clutch up, and they're going to be able to get that flip. But let's take a look at the under construction area and see how this fight is going underway.
Yeah, it looks like a big RPG, but they were able to heal off the damage, and they actually can't capitalize off of that. Servant is going to kill Alex, but Dig is going to get the trade, and it looks like Dig is actually going to be able to not only pressure their medium, but get the revive. So he was able to revive, and he's waiting right now to get this rev, and he's actually going to catch Super out. And this is not a great fight from them. I mean, they were not taking that properly. I think that you either have to decide to maybe just wipe there, or you know, not stagger the coins, because that was just challenging for them. But it looks like Smear and co are already going to be back. Smear taking a little bit of damage here, but Glorp is going to be pressuring them. They have the high ground, and they're pushing up right now. About a minute left on this box, but Admin is going to wrap back around, and they're just going to try to reset. They're going to get their heals, and they're maybe going to look to pad up here, or even better, take a gateway flip up top, and now they've actually flipped the height. Arekis is looking for that RPG, and it is going to connect, but not do a ton of damage. But 4-7's going to go down, and the pocket heals are coming in, and they're in a 3v2. Mir's going to go down as well, and it looks like Zimbo's in a 1v1, but what do you know? Another third party from Freelo, and Freelo is in a position, and Z&D is here as well. Z&D's box is up. We have every team fighting and under construction right now, and there is only about 20 seconds left on box, and it's getting forced. Freelo is forcing the box right now. And that flip is going to come in.
Oh my gosh, there's a couple of seconds left on this cash out, and we've got two entirely different teams fighting for this cash out that weren't even there to begin with. The flip has already begun, but Spooky is one of the last two members of this team. Is Evade going to be able to get this flip? Is the damage enough? It's not enough. And believe it or not, Z&D is absolutely dominating this lobby right now. They have $46,000 to their name, not a wipe on the board, and Zooks 12-3-0. Can anyone stop this team's dominating push?
Yeah, this is probably the most convincing match of cash out that we've seen all night. the disparity of money between first and second place is over $30,000. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play this, because at this point, if you're Z&D, you're looking to grief and you're looking to figure out what team you want to fight in the final round. And so they're going to try to get this box plugged here. D&D taking a little bit of damage, and it's really hectic right now. Up in construction, it's smoky, there's debris smoke, but Arekis has decided that that fight is pointless. They need to get 5, and they need to get it plugged now. They're going to try to plug, and it looks like they are going to get this plug on B, so Admin is going to be in a decent position here. It's going to be interesting to see where 6 goes, and it looks like Glorp has control of 6 right now, and not entirely convinced that they're going to be able to get it into A, because we have multiple teams up here that are looking to stop the plug, but they're able to sneak it. They're able to sneak it in. They are going to get the plug. Z&D didn't try too hard to stop them there, and now we're in a unique scenario here where Admin actually needs kills. They cannot win, but they do have a little bit better pacing right now. So interesting to see what Team Z&D decides to target here, but Freelo is going to end up wiping again, and so right now we're in a really critical moment of the game.
Yeah, this is super critical to see here, and it looks like slowly and steadily Admin are getting the kills that they need. They're still $2,000 behind. That is 4 kills, so they have a lot on their plate still going forward here to handle this fight against Glorp here. But if they are able to just steal one singular wipe against Glorp, then they're going to be in a much better spot. Glorp have recognized that their cash out is not the best place to be, so they're actually going to try and fight this weakly defended cash out B, because if they hold the easier to hold cash out, they're going to have a much easier time, and they're going to be able to get this flip because nobody's there to stop them. 4-7, able to get a great fight, steal, and then they're able to pressure it immediately. They have both these cash outs. It could even put them into first place, which would be huge, but that steal is coming forth on the other side of the map. Smear, the last member on their team, they already lost 2 of these fights here. Smear is such an uphill battle ahead of him. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep this stall up for much longer, especially getting pressured here from Spooky, who plays that defensive role right after pressuring. And a great flip here. And now, in an incredible spot, is Freelo. They're holding on to this cash out to the best of their abilities here. All 3 members of both teams are here for this fight. These guys know they're fighting for second place, and they're doing their darnest. And down goes a couple of these members here, in a trade coming back and forth. And now it's just up to Zimbo here in a 1v2. Servant goes down. The cash out is through. Is the wipe going to be useful enough to bring them forth? Super on 2 singular bars of HP. That Invis Bomb is going to do so much work. The timer counts down. ZND gets some extra cream on top of this delicious cherry pie that is their first place.
Wow, that is not an expected result. I mean, that was not where I thought that was going to be, and it looked like Glorp was in a perfect position to qualify there, but I'm not exactly sure what the breakdown was. At one point, they controlled both boxes and ended up with neither box.
Dude, that game had so many macro positioning decisions in it that were just absolutely insane. I mean, these are things that you wouldn't normally expect to see, but these teams know what they're up against, and they know what they need to do sometimes. They're going to have to push a little bit outside of their comfort zone. I think the idea that Glorp had was that cash box all the way out in the corner of the map is very loosely defended. So if they're able to hold on to this box instead of the box that's in the middle of the map with all of the third parties, they would have a much easier time controlling the pacing of those fights. But I think that they just really lost that crucial fight against Freelo there at the very end there. They lost that crucial fight that they needed to win right after getting that flip, and that put them on the back foot. They didn't wipe, but it put them on a really bad back foot. The flip came right back through onto them, and then they were just really struggling. They kind of ended up with nothing. They were hoping to get a much more comfortable position, but it didn't work out for them at all. There's a very real chance that they were able to hold on to that cash out in the middle of that under construction. The problem is there's just nowhere to hide, especially if there's 2 teams, 3 teams, 4 teams in that under construction environment. You have nowhere to hide. You're gonna lose some capacity in some fight, and you're gonna be maybe even caught fighting nowhere near the point while someone's stealing.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point. I think that they actually made the correct call on the macro to go and steal that other point because, like you mentioned, you may have the point, and that could end up, working in your favor having all 12 people there because nobody can really steal and nobody wants to steal. They're waiting to engage, but you could also have the opposite effect where everybody wants you out and everybody is like hyper targeting you in that scenario. So I actually like the macro play that they made to go and steal that other box, but I'm not exactly sure what happened in the rotation between the boxes for them to not be able to defend it after the fact. Because they even made a mistake, Freelo did, where the light got on the box to try to insta-force. Smear got that kill, and I thought, oh, for sure they're going to win, but they were able to defib the light, they were able to force it, and 4-7 and Zimbo were nowhere to be found, unfortunately for Glorp, and it didn't end up working up in their favor. And I might mention one more thing before we kind of get into this next match here. Zooks went 15-0 with that revolver. And I was noticing that looking at the scoreboard, and we can't let that go unnoticed. There is a reason that Z&D was so dominant, and I think that Zooks was the MVP of that match.
Wow. I mean, I would 100% agree with you there. Zooks showed up. I think Z&D as a whole showed up today. They showed up and they wanted blood. They were tired of the performance that they've been struggling with throughout tonight. They were tired of the cash out chaos that they've been stuck dealing with tonight, and they said enough is enough. We're gonna show up and we're gonna dominate this lobby, and that's exactly what they did. I mean, they have absolutely dominated this lobby, and that's why Z&D is such an incredible team to continue following if you're a fan of them, because they have some serious potential ahead of them. And if they can continue to keep up with the performances like this, then they could be seriously punching heavyweight, especially in the next coming weeks. I mean, they didn't fight a single team in that upper bracket who was in that upper bracket today. And so if they can continue to get fights against these teams in this upper brackets, like we're talking Ignite, we're talking Glitch, we're talking um, WMD tonight. Even we're even talking Steppers, the winners of week one. I really do think Z&D has a significant fighting chance against these teams if they can manage to take these fights right. And I mean, these guys are great players when push comes to shove. And so I am very pleased with their performance here tonight, and certainly don't want to count out the performance from Freelo here. They were in a really tough situation here at the end of that game, and they really came through when they needed to most. They absolutely had that pressure. That pressure was maxed. They were on the back foot, and even when they were like barely holding on to the cash out that they still needed to hold on to, they were still able to completely make a full recovery and keep the comms clear and keep that everything working in their favor and winning those important fights.
Yeah, I think it cannot be ignored that Super really made the play at the end. When Zimbo was hunting Super down, there was a chance they could have been eliminated, giving them an extra kill and that wipe. And who knows, what happens after that. So being able to play his life with the Vanish Bomb when he was like 1 bar of health and hiding and kiting perfectly, it can't be understated that that was really the game-winning play for them.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, that Vantage Bomb came in clutch at the very end. So that was just phenomenal. What a great match to watch, even though it was so one-sided from Z&D. But enough about that cash out. We've got a 3v3 ahead of us. This is going to be our final 3v3 of the night. And boy, am I excited to see how this hashes out. There's a chance that Z&D absolutely turbo pub stomps here. But there's also a chance that they're going to get their money's worth here, because I know that Freelo is going to be a good team here, and they're going to definitely make sure that this game is not easy for them, especially the 3v3 environment.
Yeah, we're already in an interesting position here. We've got Freelo hanging out on under construction, but they've decided to take this fight. They realize that if they go up there, they're going to get a free walk to hospital, which is nearly an impossible box to steal if they're holding it correctly. And they are going to gate this out, and it looks like they're going to jump off the map. He's going to take a gate with too much momentum, and that's going to give them all they need.
That is a massive opening. Now, Shadow is the last member on his team, and that's a really smart play to try and throw that box out as far as he can. Unfortunately, it found the bottom of the map, and so now it's going to make its way back, and so it's a little bit closer on its way over towards hospital, but I think it might have stalled just a little bit longer than they would have otherwise. And that is just absolutely devastating to see that gateway be in such a precarious position that if you take it with the wrong momentum, you're going to fall off. That is just absolutely devastating. Got to respawn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he took that gateway with too much momentum looking the wrong way, and he had no chance to save himself there. But it looks like they've actually been able to cross pretty much for free, with the exception of having to waste the gateway to get across. But they know, Freelo is smelling a rat here. They know that they've gotten inside. They know that they're probably going to flip off the backside. They're setting up a counter pad. Big damage onto Evade, and Mesh taking a lot of damage. Huge damage. They need to capitalize off of this. They need to move up now. And it looks like Servant is not quite able to, they're not able to capitalize off of that, and they're resetting and they're going down low now. But you don't need to panic if you're Freelo. You still have the height, you still have box advantage. There's about 1 minute left, so this is only going to come down to a singular fight. So if you win this, you win the cash, most likely. So they're going to climb up this backside. They're probably aware of the position now as well, so they need to play this super smart here. Whoever gets good opening damage is probably going to win this fight. And it looks like they're padding across, and nothing's quite happened yet, but they're gooing off and they're looking to drop. They're using Dome, but they weren't able to force off of that. That's a waste of a Dome. Running down now, and they're kind of flipping around. Freelo is playing this really well. They're playing this super patient. They haven't panicked at all, and they've got all the time to stall here. It's only about 15 seconds. And they need to force this. They're not going to have much time. They're not going to look to give a free pick, so they need to hop onto this. And they wasn't able to drop. They may get this, actually. They already get the flip. Wow. Yeah, failure out of the goo there, and they're actually going to be able to flip that. Z&D in the lead, 25-0.
Wow. Wow, that was incredible. They were in such a difficult position there, needing to force that point. It was such incredible defense coming from Evade on his mesh shield that absolutely, unequivocally saved their team in that steal. And also, not to mention, Spooky was throwing that C4, trying to re-up that C4 onto the point, and unfortunately that C4 was just not in the right spot to drop that cash out down one more floor. If that cash out drops one more floor, that thing is fully secured for Freelo. And so they definitely got to be kicking themselves for that one, but they are not out of it yet. They have wiped and they have respawned, but they are not out of it yet. There's still one more cash out, and it definitely sucks to lose a cash out on a flip like that, but you still have another attempt here, and you can still keep on pushing. So that was just incredibly close.
Yeah, absolutely, B. And, you can't get down on yourself. It's easy to let mental take control when you lose a cash out like that. But we've got plenty more finals to play. Shadow's going to get a blood here as they try to rotate this box out to construction, but they don't even have to tap on it yet. And it looks like they're actually going to take a fight here. This is a huge fight. Whoever gets this initial plug is going to have a massive advantage, and Zooks is able to clean up, and it looks like Z&D is going to get this plug in construction. They still have to tap on it, but it's a close gateway, so they should be able to set up a little bit and get a plug here. And it's going to be important to maybe look where Freelo spawns and play this properly, because if you win this first fight, you are really in a good position to 50-0 them. An interesting play here from Evade, actually opting to destroy the crane rather than play in it. It's down to one hit now, so maybe he's got something planned for future. If they try to take control of the crane, he knows it'll be easy to knock down.
Yeah, very interesting strategy here coming from Freelo. They're kind of just posted up. They're trying to rotate as safely as they possibly can with those TPs. They're playing basically as much as possible to not get spotted, because they are going to take this jump pad and jump right on in to Evade and Zooks, but they're going to go ahead and avoid them. They're going to choose to play in the farther distance here. They probably have a jump pad to their disposal, but they're going to go ahead and use it. Look for that RPG. Huge damage onto Zooks. Now he's stuck in the air, and down he goes. Evade on half HP. This was a fantastic opener for them. A ton of heals coming through from Shadow. Still on half HP. Almost no dome shield mesh shield to speak of here. Super getting pressured by the remaining players of ZND. Great dome shield just in time. There is the res coming through, playing their dome as much as possible, but there's not enough HP between the two of them to do much more than that.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal goo and dome there by Shadow and Evade. It just wasn't quite enough. They'd taken a little bit too much damage. There was a chance there where they could have won that fight, but luckily for Freelo, they are able to clean that up and get the flip here. Now, how they play this is going to be very important because ZND is up in 3 seconds, and after that, they need to play this properly. If they take too much damage in the opening, they could have a free force here. So I like what Spooky's doing here. He's getting ready to play off the RPG. He's not playing like too close where he knows they're going to pad up. Great glitch out of Super right there. No mesh and huge damage onto Shadow. No value on RPG, but it looks like they're rotating under, and Spooky is being very patient, not throwing his dome yet. Now he knows it's time, but Spooky is going to take a lot of damage here, and they don't have time to force, which is fantastic. It looks like ZND here is going to win this fight, but the box goes to Freelo, and they live to fight another day, 25-25.
There you go. That is incredible. They just barely managed to hold on to that point. There was no last-second steal shenanigans possible from ZND. And so now, like I said, they moved on to another point here. Now we're on to box 3. This is going to define our match here. This is the final box. There's nothing worse than being on the final cash out with less than 20 seconds to go. Wow. What happened? Zooks fell off the map to some degree or got killed in some other way. That is so unfortunate. Now Super's holding on to that point, and they're going to get a great plug, and now they're in such a great spot. I'm going to have to hold my thought while they continue to get this fight, and now they're going to have to reset and take their time. Like I was saying, there's nothing worse than a cash out being in 20 seconds or less, and you know there's no way that you could possibly do anything about it, and it's going to lose you the game, but there's definitely nothing better than being on the other side of that. So this last cash out is meaningful, this last cash out is important, and this last cash out is the end of this match, regardless of what happens here. Looks like they've got that reset here, and I'm sure there will be a fight taken into account sometime, and nobody has opted. Actually, Super is on this crane. Let's see if Evade's going to remember his strats that he pulled earlier.
And he does remember, and wow, I mean, talk about thinking a couple steps ahead. He was able to take down Super's positioning, but they need to get some decent damage in here, and it looks like Servant has actually been blooded by Shadow. That's a huge pick by Shadow, and Evade has eyes on Super now. Spooky dead, just Super light, and he's playing this flank. There's not much he needs to do. He needs to decide here to play these coins, because if he wipes here, this game is over. There's not much time either way, and he's opting to play the coin. You have no other choice at this point. But ZND is in an excellent position to take over this match.
30 seconds on the clock. The timer ticks lower and lower. The coins come in here from Freelo. The final push finally started. An incredible teleport gateway to bring their team right on into the action as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, their floor too low, and the jump pad is there to avoid them at all costs. RPG C4 drops the cash out. Low HP is Servant, low HP is Spooky, and they're all dead. That is a wipe, and that is a clean sweep here from ZND to pull that final cash out together. They don't need freebies. They take wins.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see after Zooks' phenomenal performance that him slipping off the map didn't end up being the deciding factor there. And they were able to close that out, and I think, that they were probably the favorites to win that match, obviously based on their cash-out performance, and so it's good to see them play well. But, we can't act like Freelo didn't really give it a solid try there. They had a great performance on second box, and, there was a time where they had it, and I think it really boiled down to a couple micro mistakes at the end there. And other than that, though, yet again, it's been a common theme. Anybody could have had that game at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we just want to hark back to that original cash out that Freelo was holding on to so dominantly there, if Spooky's able to get that C4 in a little bit of a better position, if they're able to just find that drop in some capacity just one more time, they're holding on to that cash out, and then they're going to be probably moving forward and getting that next cash out, and then all of a sudden they've won in two cash outs, and then they're having a great time. So that game was really close in the span of time of those three cash outs, even though it didn't look like it was at the beginning. So that was incredible gameplay. Z and D really played their hearts out there, especially in that cash out. A little bit unfortunate losing a couple of players to falling off the map there in that 3v3. But again, just incredible gameplay across the board there. How about we take a look at the results here, this final results here, as they finally get tallied up slowly and steadily. We will take a look at them, and then we will bid you all farewell shortly after that. We're just waiting on the results to come in here, and then we will take a look over there. I was going to pull us over there now, but we're just going to wait a little bit patiently here. Jax, did you have any more final thoughts about either this game or any of the games tonight?
I mean, I just have to say I'm glad to see Z and D was able to make it into a 3v3 because I felt like on Sis Horizon, they so deserved, barely losing from getting their second box stolen on that third party by admin after playing out of their minds. So I just really feel like Z and D brought it tonight, and this was a well deserved win, and they really played out of their minds. But I think that brings me to my next point, and that's that everybody played out of their minds tonight. I think we watched some really high quality games of cash out. This was just a great Moolah Monday, and I was really happy to be a part of it, happy to cast it. And I think every single game we watched, there's something to learn, about micro, macro strategy, and how teams play the map, how they rotate. I mean, this was just a phenomenal performance through and through from everybody who participated tonight.
I couldn't have said it more myself, man. That is absolutely totally true. Looks like we finally got our results finally in, and we get to take a look at them and kind of see how things hashed out for the week. And it looks like Ignite Gaming have solidified themselves as the winner for today with an excruciatingly high 570 574, is that 579? Sorry, the font's a little hard to read here. Points there and absolutely dominating in the game, and not a single team even made it up to 400 points. Steppers just 2 points away from 400. Ignite Gaming really showed up this week, and they really brought the heat. Z&D at 397 points is actually, pardon me, WMD got 566. I don't know how to read numbers apparently. WMD absolutely dominated as well. They really showed up tonight for being a couple of players that you really don't normally see, especially not on WMD. We had a handful of subs across many teams, and so WMD really showed up and really put in a ton of work. But again, if we're looking at steppers there, 398 points, pretty okay result there. And Z&D, 397 points. They were in the bottom bracket for every single they were in the bottom bracket for every single heat tonight, but they showed up and they brought heat, and they proceeded to bring a lot of points to the table nonetheless. And so even though they were in the bottom bracket and they weren't directly fighting some of these big points holding guys, I think they've got a lot to look forward to in these coming weeks here for the points that they are holding nonetheless.
Yeah, I think Z&D is definitely a dark horse. There's a good chance we see them bringing the heat in the weeks following to come. It seems like they've really got a lot of chemistry, and whatever they were doing tonight, it was working. Even though they had a couple unfortunate moments and our earlier cash outs, I mean, they were definitely bringing the heat. And yeah, I think you definitely need to be watching for them in these upcoming weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And before we close out here, we'll just take a quick look here at the final totals here, for what we've got so far for these first two play days. We've got a lot of points on the board already. Like I mentioned before, Steppers secured that first place in the first play day, and then they secured themselves a comfortable, what I believe is third here in this second play day. Um, if I can do my math right, that is third. And so then they're going to be in a pretty solid spot here. They are actually, believe it or not, second place in the overall standings right now, Ignite having such insane dominance today, just taking so many points today, and then also being really comfortably in second place from that first week has put them in first place with a solid 100-point lead. Steppers going first and third is a little bit less than ideal here for them, but certainly there's still 2 more play days to go ahead of us, and so there's a lot that can change in these point totals. And so it has been a fantastic night, and we've seen a lot of points go across the board and across some of these teams here. And every single one of these teams have been absolutely phenomenal for the most part here. And so it has just been a pleasure to continue to see them working hard in each of these play days and continuing to go against the same players every week is certainly fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like Ignite is really kind of the team to watch out for right now. Steppers, of course, and even the subs tonight on WMD, they really brought it. And any team can win. And I mean, seriously, it's not going to be for certain who's going to be winning in these upcoming weeks, because we saw a lot of great things from every team, and a lot of stuff came down to some very critical moments. Sometimes it was like literally like one health in a gunfight, one bullet in a gunfight that was making the difference and completely shifting the momentum of these games. So, yeah, just taking a look at the standings now, I think, it's kind of clear who maybe some of our high rollers are, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't have other teams that are in contention for winning in these upcoming weeks here.
Definitely. I think you really brought up a lot of good points with that. But I think that's enough yapping from us. That's enough analysis of the leaderboards. That's enough analysis of the games that we've had for tonight. I think we've sufficiently analyzed all that we possibly could here tonight. I think we've said enough, and I think you guys have gotten enough in the understanding of how these games have worked tonight. So it has been a pleasure to be here casting for you guys tonight. And Jax, thank you for coming alongside me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, V and Optus. It was an absolute pleasure casting alongside you, V.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. You've been fantastic here tonight, and so I look forward to seeing you around in other casting events, perhaps, especially for being your first endeavor. You've been doing phenomenally. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. And as far as everything else goes, I am looking forward to the next Moolah Monday that's going to be coming up next Monday. And of course, the next one after that will be another fantastic one. And so looking forward to the games ahead and these teams continuing to clash against each other here. It has been a fantastic night of games. And I think that just about wraps it up here. So thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for playing. And we will see you all next week.